No way. It's 22-28. 10 seconds left. This is it. This is it, boy. Right now, milk. Ball game. 28-22, man. The maroon team won. Yes, sir. These boys run one while they waiting for the break play.
got to get them out. And the only way you get them out is if people start arguing amongst themselves, which is what we've been talking about for the last few days, to be fair. I wonder why, because as I said when the consortium with Michael Knighton came out, what did I say that night? I said, I'm aware of 2 or 3 other viable options to buy Manchester United. And now they're all starting to come out. You've got the New York Investment Fund, you've now got Sir Jim Ratcliffe, which is another one, and there's actually another one out there as well. So there's a lot of people interested in Manchester United, and even that Elon Musk tweet this morning was a joke. But it's actually, it's good. It's bringing people out going, well, I'd buy Man United. Oh, I'd buy Man United. Man United's for sale. I'll buy Man United. We have to keep that momentum going. There's no point in going, oh, Sir Jim wants to buy us, and then we all turn up to the match, and, you know, watching the match on Monday night and everything's normal. We've got to build this momentum collectively. Our voice is much bigger. So come on, let's do it. Yeah, so that was well. This is a quote I wanted to bring you. This was from when he tried to buy Chelsea. So this is just a glimpse of what Sir Jim Ratcliffe's all about. He said, we are the only British bid. Our motives are simple, to try and create a very fine club in London. We have no profit motive because we make our money in other ways. That was Sir Jim Ratcliffe himself in his Chelsea bid earlier this year. And as I said there, he just wants to build a football club. Now, he's actually always been a Manchester United fan. So the fact that he was trying to buy Chelsea just shows passion to buy a football club. And as it says there, it's not for profit. So, you know, he easily could have been the owner of Chelsea. Now, the only reason he didn't buy Chelsea was because the valuation, and I think it was his brother who said this, there was a valuation gap in what Chelsea valued it at and what he thought it was. And effectively, their issue was that they would have to build a new stadium. And they were like, well, it could take 30 years to build a stadium, and none of them are getting any younger. So, effectively, it wasn't quite the right deal for them. But Manchester United is the club that he supports. Mark, as I've said before, United fans on their own are dropped together. We are an ocean. This is our way to remove the glaze. This is Andy Cheatham. But now's the time where you've got to be very careful as well, because what I don't want to see, and I don't think what anybody wants to see, is somebody on Twitter going, the time is now, everybody empty Old Trafford. That can't be done because somebody on Twitter does it, and it certainly can't be done because I say it. We know how this works. It ends up irritating people, and it ends up causing division, divide and conquer. Everything we do now has to be done with trust. Everybody has to agree with it. Everybody has to be on board with it. Because if everybody's on board with it, everybody shares it, and everybody's happy. So it's going to be a very, very hard job, but as I said, our ears are open, our doors are open, and it's there to be used. But we need unification, we need everybody pulling together, and everybody needs to drop their agendas and drop their hate and drop their dislike and just go, let's not look back on this in 6 months and like we did after the Super League and go, we blew it. Because we blew it. After the Super League, we blew it. We got a game cancelled, we got the Glazers on their heels, they were shitting themselves, they did a fan forum Zoom call, and it all fell apart. We can't let this drop. We've got a viable buyer there that wants to buy us. We've got to get the Glazers out, and we've got to work on how we do that. Hi Mark, would it take long to affect this transfer window? Absolutely not. I mean, we're not selling it tomorrow and then spend, buying players in the next 10 days. We've got to think long term. This season's a write-off. I think most people agree with that. We've got to think long term. If it takes all of this season to get the Glazers out and then we start again next summer, it's much better than 10 more years of the Glazers, isn't it? So, they've messed this summer up. It's as simple as that. The thing I like is United aren't even for sale yet officially. I'm excited to see who jumps on the bandwagon and puts pressure on the Glazers to sell. So Barry. And also, let's only focus 110% on social media pressure. That's how we stop that stupid Super League. So Shahin. Welcome to the Members Club, Chris, and I think Jeff Bezos could be interested too. Hashtag United Crimes Fighters. Just to play devil's advocate, how do we know it's not all talk just to get the fans to help him get the club so he can become another Glazer type owner, as he's called? Because that's not the sort of person he is if you do with it. This is why a lot of people have always wanted Sir Jim Ratcliffe, because he's not like that. Get it done, says Mojo. I don't care if people want Ronaldo out or not, De Gea out or not, stick together and get them out. Competent club would automatically do the best for the club, says Magnet. United we stand, Jim in, says sack him. It's a massive opportunity and it needs to be grasped. I think everybody would understand that. Just a few more quotes from the Times article as well. The spokesman said that fresh investment into the club could be used to help upgrade infrastructure, including the Old Trafford Stadium, which is in need of a major overhaul and modernisation. This is not about the money that has been spent or not been spent. Jim is looking at what can be done now and knowing how important the club is to the city. It feels like the right time, the time is right for a reset. Yeah, look, all the right words being spoken. The time is now. I think this, you know, I think it's such a unique position because you've actually got spokesmen for Sir Jim Ratcliffe saying he will buy the club if it's for sale. Very, very amazing story from Matt Dickinson at the Times, because it's an amazing story, because we've heard people saying today that the club's up for sale and the Glazers want out and there's a lot of people looking to buy, which I'm going to comment on in a minute, because it's as important as it is, this is so significant. We've actually got somebody publicly saying they'll buy the club, and they're the owner that most fans would like to give a chance to. And I say give a chance to because the grass ain't always green. You know, you've got to go into it eyes open. I'm very confident that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his business would be very good owners of Manchester United. Doesn't mean we're going to win the league again. Doesn't mean we're going to buy Mbappe, but we'll be better run than we have been into the Glazers, because it's a football club again and not a brand. It's not a business. It's very, very obvious to many people, but the contrast between someone like Sir Jim Ratcliffe buying Manchester United and the Glazers is, the Glazers bought us on debt, they kept us in debt, they've shaved off about between £1 and £2 billion in their time on debt repayments, etc. They've taken dividends out, they've bled this club dry. If someone like Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes in, the money won't be going out. It's not for profits. So all the money we generate, there's no debt repayments anymore. There's no dividends anymore. All that money goes back into the club. If we've got a crap director of football like we have now, yet we waste the money like we have over the last 10 years. But ultimately, we probably sack them and get somebody else in, because it's all about the club. As well as the Glazers is all about their wealth. It's a massive contrast. So if you're sat there struggling tonight thinking, I don't know what I can do, you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things. And you've got to keep the momentum. Whether Glazers out on Twitter really hits home, I don't know. Don't buy a fucking shirt. Don't buy any merchandise. Don't, but you know, boycott sponsors. These are the sort of things that you do now for the next month, and it really hits home. Pull that share price down. Don't buy a shirt with the name on it, whether it's Ronaldo or not. Don't go into the superstore. Just leave. You know, we've got a viable buyer. We've got someone who wants to buy that club. Pull the club down. Pull it down. And I know it's not nice, but it's only an idea, and there's probably plenty of others. But look, people going into the ground on Monday night will not matter. Most of them are season ticket holders and they've already spent the money. But if you're thinking about spending money on Manchester United at the moment, or a Man United sponsor, the time is now. There's protest that can be done, but what we need to do is unite everybody and make everybody feel part of it. You know, if people are protesting on Monday night, which they will do, and we'll get the videos of it and we'll put it on Twitter and everyone retweets and goes, that's great. Yeah, you've retweeted other fans at the ground protesting, but how can you protest? And this is where a coordinated plan to get the Glazers to sell. That's all it is. It's something very, very simple. And we need to do it. Everybody needs to do it. The Glazers need to realise that they can't ride this out. They absolutely cannot ride this out. And then they will sell, and now we've got a viable buyer. And that's what we've just got to work on. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe in and Glazers out on Twitter, I know it's great, but you know, we've got to make it very, very clear to the Glazers that we want them to go. And what we've also got to do is we've got to get to a point very, very quickly where the Glazers sort of damage limitations say we're selling. So we've got to move to this very, very, very quickly. And the only way to do that is together. And you know, if someone contacts me tomorrow and says, look, this is a plan to use the social media fans, can you put it out there? We'll do it. Let's do it. Let's do it properly, because you know what? I've never hated the Glazers, I don't hate Richard Arnold or Ed Woodward or anyone else. But what I would say is, we've had enough time, we've never changed, we're never going to change, and we're never going to be good for Man United. So it's time to go. It's not a hate campaign. I don't want a hate campaign. Nobody wants a hate campaign. It's just time to go. Go, turn your back, go away, never come back, and we'll move on. And that's all we want. That's all we want. Tweeting the club Glazers out might not be effective, but telling the sponsors on Twitter you won't get their products because they're associated with the Glazers will work. So skin, yeah, Look, TeamViewer want out already. They want out already. Mark, we need you to be reaching out to all of the other communities as well. A public joint effort to organise from the largest United creators would be massive. This is James Manning. Mate, I don't need to reach out to anybody because a lot of these people blocked me and stuff from the start. So look, you can reach out to them. The United Stand community is there to be used, and it's massive. Use it. If you're going to do your protest, give us the details, we put it out there. If you're going to do a campaign online, give us the details, we push it out there. I and everybody involved in this community wants change. We've got a viable buyer now. Let's push it. Let's push it. Because I tell you what, I'm not going to be the one in a month's time going, I didn't try. I'm not going to do that. And I tell you what, I'm not going to be the one on Saturday when we sign Casemiro going, yeah, everything's fine. No, fuck that. I've done that for Di Maria. I've done it for bloody Pogba. I've done it for Ronaldo. We've had loads of these signings before, and it's just a little blip of happiness on a train of misery. We've got to push this now. I'm not impressed by whatever transfer the Glazers are going to try and do. But to tell you what, watch the response of the Glazers now. They're going to SHIT themselves. They're going to think, bloody hell, we're in big trouble. How do we get out of this? Get the checkbook out like we have done in the past. Buy anybody you can. João Felix, Casemiro, Kuna, everybody. Milinkovic-Savic. Go and buy 5 players now in the last 2 weeks and show we mean business. We're going to try now. We're going to try now. Next summer we'll get the money back. Yeah, screw that. No, you've had 17 years. Forget it. I'm not going to be here going, ooh, it's Casemiro, it's João Felix, because it's all nonsense. It's all spin. We've got to make this change now. We've got to make this change. And what I would say to the club is as well, don't start now. You've had opportunities. I mean, I've only been doing the stand for 7 years, but loads of people will testify to this. They've had loads of opportunities to speak to fans, do interviews, integrate, show they care. You know, you've had your chance. It's time to go now. You've been arrogant. Edward was the same. Richard Arnold was only caught out in a pub because he didn't want people turning up to his house. You know, they've had their chance. They've been arrogant. We don't know what they're doing. Time to go. Time to go. I haven't lined the Glazers' pocket for years. We all need to take back our beautiful club, says James. Mark, I've sent you an email with a plan which could involve all the driving club United, says Dante. I like the neon kit though, but after that whipping I would have PDST every time I see it, says Jar. Tweeting, I've done that one from Skin. Mark, we need you to be done that one as well. So yeah, look, if you're tuning in a little bit late, there's a lot to get through tonight. But Twitter's popping up. I mean, Ren says empty Old Trafford this week. I don't know. I mean, look, I'm not going to tell people to empty Old Trafford simply because we've got to tread carefully. You'll get people from all over the world who've never been to Old Trafford and all over the UK who aren't going to Old Trafford saying empty Old Trafford. But you haven't bought a season ticket, and you might not be travelling from Ireland to watch it and all this, that and the other. The right of a person to go into Old Trafford is their right. You can't force people to empty Old Trafford when they have a season ticket and it's their choice. This is where you've got to be very careful about how you run this. We cannot divide and conquer our own fan base. If people want to go into the ground and watch the match, that is their choice. If they don't want to, if they want to stand outside and empty Old Trafford, that is their choice. You can't push something like that with less than a week's notice, because you'll end up pissing people off. So we've got to push this in the correct way, in a unified way. There's a protest that is already planned. Empty Old Trafford, empty 75,000 people. Well, Liverpool fans are going to go in, so you know that's not going to work for a start. Also, there's already a protest. There's already a protest outside Old Trafford before the game, starting at 5:30 at the toll gates and goes down to there. So, be part of that protest. Instead of there being 2,000 people, there might be 20,000 people there. TV, everybody, the Glazers see it. It's not about let's get the Glazers to sell United on Monday night because Old Trafford's empty. It's about consistency. Because you know what's going to happen before Monday night? We're probably going to sign a player. And Glazers out will stop on Twitter because people will be going, oh, actually, I quite like Casemiro. It's a good deal. So, you know, it's not a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a marathon. It's a sprint. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Respect is really important in this. Respect is very important. Respect your fellow fan and the decisions they want to make. Because that way we can work together. Telling people what to do never works. We've got to work together on this. And you know, everybody needs to be the way the Super League goes. I can never really reveal a lot of the conversations that went on because those people it's the stuff if I did it. But the way the Super League was conducted was super. So many people got in contact with the United stand. Money was funded towards all sorts of things. It worked really well, and nobody wanted the whole public we work together or anything like that. It was the greater good, and that's what we need again. And then we can go back to falling out about who the captain should be. Should fans be able to buy small amounts of shares as part of a bid? Would be symbolic gesture to support and free up Jim's funds, says Ryan. Mark, these 2 weeks are absolutely massive. Glazer's cash cow is crumbling before them. The Ronaldo interview could be the final no, says Gabrielle. Stop following MUTV and all the social media's pages might help, says Mike Jones. Graham Barber, how about a signed petition by United fans agreeing to cause help for any sponsors associated with United to sell or lose your income, says Graham Barber. It's sickening to see what's happened at your club. Love you, Mark, and I hope this gets sorted for the sake of football, says Louis Garrett. It's such a massive opportunity, and it's one that, you know, I don't necessarily have the answers for, and I don't think you do. But brains need to be going into action tonight as to how you keep everybody together and do something. And for me, the big thing is you've got to utilise the worldwide fan base. There'll only be 75,000 people at Old Trafford. That's a lot of people, but there's millions and millions of United fans. And let's not forget, who did the Glazers want to shit on when the Super League happened? They were shitting on the hardcore fans. They were shitting on the match-going fans. They didn't care about them anymore. They cared about the global fan base. They wanted to take Man United to play Liverpool in New York and Sydney and Delhi. They didn't care about playing in Old Trafford. They knew the value and money with the worldwide fan base. That is where the money comes in. You know, I live in the UK. What does the Manchester United UK fan base make for the club compared to the worldwide fan base? We've got to use it. I think for too long, there's been a bit of, I don't know, maybe it's an arrogance or an ignorance towards the worldwide fan base, which makes up probably over 90% of our fan base. It's like, well, what do they know? They don't live in the UK. And that I think that comes from media. I think it comes from, you know, I think it's there. I think we all know it's there. But at times like this, and in the future, we've got to utilise the entire fan base because it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And if you can do it, then, oh my God, like, if you want to get a message to a sponsor or the club or anything like that, and you've got millions of fans on board, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. So, have we got the people who can do that? Well, if we haven't, we need to. You know, strategically, there has to be a
I need to win this game while I'm out of the group.
And ultimately, we will all benefit.
It's a bit of a conundrum.
Individual United fans and collectively.
Look, here's my Champions League group.
I mean, imagine waking up in the morning and knowing.
Look, here's my Champions League group.
Your owners aren't bleeding you dry, milking you like a cash cow, and taking dividends out of the club, employing complete and utter frats as CEOs. Imagine waking up and going, my club's owned by somebody that wants us to be successful on the pitch. My club's owned by somebody that understands the game and will appoint a very good CEO and a very good director of football and structure. This is what we're fighting for now.
It can be a two-way thing.
And look, I'm a Man United fan because my granddad loved the Busby Babes. So that's 2 generations.
You don't give a
in
fuck
2
about
generations' time, my daughter and son.
I do give a fuck about Rory.
You don't give a fuck about Rory.
I love Rory.
I don't give a fuck about
your future generations and family members and friends to be in the situation we are with the Glazers in charge. It's not just for us. It's
Man United's getting sold.
And we have to use it.
Elon Musk is Man United.
The door is open. This community is massive. You built this community.
Well, I'm fucking strap you in like a fucking seatbelt, nigga. I'll put you in the fucking, baby
ground, nigga. I'll put you in the ground. That's why I'll put you.
Nigga, you ain't got a pedigree to do that shit, nigga.
You gonna strap me? I'm gonna put my ass.
Look how sick the stadium is here. It's like training grounds, damn. Look at Germany, man. Inside is like a cave down the tunnel. That is a sick tunnel.
By Milinkovic Savic or Casemiro signing in the next 2 days. Because that's let's be honest, this is a war now. And their artillery is Casemiro and Milinkovic Savic, 5 shirts. We've got to be very
I'm not food for that house, I mean, look.
Shut up, get out.
I can just see her. You feel me?
It's on,
That's what I'm
isn't it?
saying, bro. I'm jealous
This time
of
feels
fucking
different.
shit.
For real.
Look at that
They got an
fucking-
island,
they come
bruh.
off the ceiling, bro. They got islands. What's that coming off the ceiling, bro?
Skylight.
You cannot tell me this is fucking right.
It's a skylight.
It's time to speak out.
You cannot tell me this is right, bro. They got
Look,
fucking starfish coming off their ceiling, bro.
Oh, you mean that? Oh.
He's an old man.
Yeah, that light is mad.
He's a legend. Effectively, he's on the board, paid by the Glazers. Now,
just about accomplished. Time now to look ahead. Yeah, on a night when a point will suffice, they have to take to the field, Peter, with a mindset to win. Everything else will then take care of itself.
Bluetooth mode.
For the round of 16. They
The
cannot
Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
to do, but that's goodbye Glazers. It's over. So, look, you know, you probably make a good point. That's not to say that Sir Alex Ferguson should do it. It's the same as saying empty Old Trafford. You can't make somebody, you can't tell somebody what to do. Everybody's got to do what they want to do. But yeah, something like that would be powerful. Players are under contract, etc. I don't know whether board members are under contract. Managers, when they're sacked, can't talk about the club for 12 months. Maybe if you're paid and you're on the board or you're an ambassador, you can't do anything like that. Maybe it's written in your contract. Maybe you can't do that. I don't know. Finally, some light at the end of the tunnel. Let's keep the pressure on, says Canadian Reds. Yeah, you might want to check my tweet from last night. I actually said that, light at the end of the tunnel. I tell you what as well, there is another option. I don't know whether it will hit public. I think it probably will. There is another option as well. I mean, the Sir Jim Radcliffe one is the popularist one, quite simply because, as he said there, he's not that profit. But there is another option coming up as well. Victor says he'd like to see Sir Alex come out as well. Agree with you, Mark. I'm from India. Let's cut Glazers' legs off sponsor games by boycotting them and say sponsors. This is Pram. Mark, it would be better seen by the world on TV if you fill Old Trafford and everyone was holding the Glazers outside. Yeah, David. I mean that, and this is the great thing. Nobody's got the divine right to lead us on this. This is what I mean about unification. Unification is not one person or one group leading everybody else. Unification is everybody having a voice and part of this. And that's a great idea straight away. Why empty Old Trafford? Why not? And we'll put money into this. United Stand will put money up for this. No problem at all. Let's print out 80,000, well that'd be too many. Actually, it's always better after me. 80,000 things that every fan in the ground can hold up. And they hold up all game. You know, banners, the lot, whatever. You don't have to miss the game, you can just do that. You know, there's so many things that can be done. And, you know, the time is now. Mark, we've become the Newcastle United full circle back to 1989, bottom half the table, United floating around, so Steve. Mark, you're the reason the Glazers are still here. Why did your teammate on tour? You're from London. Oh, shut up, Aman. You're gone. I mean, that's the thing. You will get idiots like Aman who will try and derail any unification because they're probably not United fans, let's be honest. They're probably bitter, sad people who just want to cause trouble. I mean, how on earth can... It's not even worth talking about. It makes no sense. Sky talking about is going back in for Anthony. Says, hey, but this is what's going to happen. We'll go back in for Anthony. We'll sign Casemiro, and everyone will go, oh, maybe I don't want to Jim Radcliffe. Like, it's gonna. This is it. Divide and conquer. This club is suddenly going to find the money to go and buy players. There was a rumour that we'd offered €120 million for João Felix today. They've clearly suddenly released funds, haven't they? They've clearly suddenly shit themselves. The Glazers are now trying to stay in post for the next 10 years, and they're suddenly going to go, well, let's spend $200-300 million now because it'll keep us enrolled for the next 10 years, which will make back in dividends anyway. Now, the time is now, and it's going to be really difficult. And I can sit here and say the time is now, let's unify the fan base, but I don't know whether it's going to work. I don't know whether it's going to work. You know, they might sign 2 superstar players in the next few days, and everyone will go, oh, you know what? Let's just get behind the manager and see what happens. And then it's gone. The opportunity's gone. But right here, right now, you've got this headline, which is absolutely spot on. You've got a viable owner who wants to buy the club. What are you going to do about it? Is a new signing going to make you go, oh, he's good? And I know these people on social media will do it. They are United fans, but the minute you go and buy a Casemiro or a João Felix, they'll go, oh, you know what, though? I like those players. I like Ten Hag. Let's get behind the team and You know, let's see what happens. We might be all right now in a couple of years. We won't be all right in a couple of years because the Glazers are the Glazers. The time is now. I'm not going to be impressed by a new signing. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to have to push it because I've said I'm going to push it. And everyone else needs to make that choice for themselves. Look, we've got 36,000 people watching here. That's not even half of Old Trafford. But if everybody here says it to everybody else, even if they don't like the United stand, we can really start to push something here. And also share the video. Click that share button. Start right now. Share the video. We're talking about the future of Manchester United and the opportunity that we have. Let's do it. What are the steps in this process? Please break down what this looks like in the media, says Andrew Herbert. We shouldn't get the game cancelled on Monday. It is a way to show the protest globally. It will be a powerful message if the fan holds the sign, says O. And he also owns Nice in France. Could become a feeder club for us to send youngsters on loan like we used to with Anderlecht. Really hope this isn't another false dawn. I agree with you, Aram. I hope it's not a false dawn, but it will be a false dawn because what Aram thinks, what I think, what a few of you think, we can't speak for millions of Man United fans, and we can't tell millions of United fans what to think. All I can say is that for me, this is all I ever wanted, a viable option to buy the club. All the protests, all the Glazers out movements will never work. I'd always said that they will never work. The Super League, everything like that, will never work because we haven't got the money to buy the club. What we always needed was someone who can buy the club that we'd be happy to give a go. We've now got it. Well, now it's when the fan base can get that. You know, it's like a monarchy, isn't it? In the olden days, somebody's the king or the queen. You don't like them. Oh, they've got a brother who could have been a. They've got royal blood. We like them. They're nicer. Oost them and get them in. We've actually got somebody who can come in and take over this club with billions of pounds. We've got to grab this opportunity. And they're saying that they want to buy the club. You've got to grab it. Mark, would you get violated? Yeah, you're gone as well. You know what happens? You have like 36,000 people watching about something really important, and then some sad twat thinks I'm going to spend a fiver to speak total nonsense in the hope that people think I'm funny. Mark, you're completely right. Thank you for talking sense and rolling the troops. We all need to do our bits. Says Jonathan. Love the shirt, Mark. Hoping the Glazers get on their high horses and gallop way. Says Chaz. Look, if I was the Glazers right now, there's a billionaire who will buy the club and give you a fair price. That's a great point. If you're the Glazers right now, what are you hanging on for? Greed! The same thing that they've been here all along. They've got no interest in this football club. I said this before. If I was the owner of Man United for the last 10 years, even if I loved the club, which I do, if I'd been the owner of Man United for the last 10 years, I'd sell it today to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I'd say, I've tried, I've made mistakes, this club has fallen ridiculously. I love this club, I've made a mistake, I've tried my best, I've failed, you have a go. Because all I want is this club to be successful, and you're going to give me my money back anyway. But it's not about the money. So, the Glazers may not sell. The Glazers may not sell because they know over the next 10 years there might be a huge TV deal coming, the Super League might be coming, and they'll be going, look, the club's worth 5 billion now, but in 10 years, no matter what we do, we'll always be in the Super League. It'll be worth 20 billion. And that's the problem. I don't think they're going to give this club up because they know that this club's going to keep going up and up in value. So they're going to dig their heels in and they're going to stay here clinging on. And we've got to pull them out. The right thing to do would be for them to go, we've tried, we have failed, we'll watch on the telly now, we're going to get our money and walk. And they're going to make a huge profit anyway. But they won't do that because they've not got the best interest of the fans or the club at all. I think they're going to be a very, very hard people to remove from the football club. And that is why the fans have to be part of it. The Glazy family conducted first round of talks via legal representatives on Tuesday. Initial discussion was regarding a full sale and not minorities, says Rohit. Good. Shared the video, Mark, onto my socials, doing what I can. We finally got a bit of momentum, got to keep it going. Glazers out, so Jim Radcliffe, says Rob. You're right, every time we get linked to a player, my Twitter feed gets filled with compilation videos of these players. Fans are filled with hope, but we need to look at the bigger picture, says Sharaf Matt Fitness. Mate, I was tweeting today about Casemiro. I said at the start, I like Casemiro, but this is pure desperation. We're going to double his wages to about 400 grand a week. We're going to pay Real Madrid 65 million. What a shit deal. I had people in the comments going, you're negative. You're negative. You're part of the problem. I'm not negative. I know what's going on. We've got an opportunity to get the Glazers out, and you are being fucking, you know, you're drinking the spiked drink. You're falling for it. You're being drugged, basically. They're conning you. They're buying your short-term support to allow them to keep the club by doing stupid things. And you know what? I read today that apparently Casemiro would be the 4th best player, paid player in the Premier League. Like, he'd have more money than Mo Salah. Like, spending money is not a problem. Spending money is actually the opposite of what the Glazers want to do. But they do it when they're desperate. Support the team and not the business. Cheer the players without the merchandise. Your football team is not a brand, it's a lifelong relationship, says Swiss Tony. Hey Mark, apparently someone from the class of 92 has been advising Sir Jim. Does that worry you? I think it may not be a bad thing for once, says Spain. Yasin. Look, would I rather keep the Glazers or would I rather have Sir Jim Ratcliffe being advised by Gary Neville? Of course I'd rather keep the Glazers. No, I'm joking. Look, if someone from the class of 92 is advising Sir Jim Ratcliffe, it's going to be Gary Neville because he's a businessman. Do I agree with a lot of what Gary Neville says? No. Would I let him anywhere near Man United to have any say on signings or anything like that? No. This is a guy that calls people bullies for saying that Harry Maguire shouldn't be captain, and then a few weeks later he's demanding Cristiano Ronaldo does an interview to explain what the problem is. It's complete contradiction. So, no, I don't want Gary Neville to be anything to do with Manchester United personally, because I don't like the way he thought Ollie was the answer. I don't like that bloody amber system where he thinks Harry Maguire's an amber signing and Fellaini and Mata and Pogba and Lindelof, who actually won things for United, are red signings. I don't trust his opinion on football, and look at what he did with Valencia. But I do trust Gary Neville on his love for Manchester United, and I certainly know that Gary Neville wouldn't put the club into debts. So, look, on a personal note, I don't want Gary Neville to be involved in the football side of things at United, because I think his opinion's a bit dodgy. But of course I want Gary Neville to be working with Sir Jim Ratcliffe instead of the Glazers. So, again, it's a great point, because I'd be a hypocrite, because I don't want to fall out with people because they want Harry Maguire to be captain or they want Ronaldo to go, even though I disagree with those two things. I said it right at the start of the video. I don't care whether Gary Neville wants Harry Maguire to be captain. I don't care whether Gary Neville wants Ronaldo to be sold, because those are things that we all fall out about. And what we're talking about is we need to be unified. Gary Neville wants Manchester United to be great, and Gary Neville doesn't want United in debt, and Gary Neville doesn't want dividends coming out of the club. So if Gary Neville is advising Sir Jim Ratcliffe, this is great, because we might disagree on a lot of things to do with football, but we completely agree about what the path should be for Manchester United. And at the end of the day, as long as the club's in the right hands, all those footballing arguments will come back and be resolved, but we won't be in debt, and we won't have dividends, and the passion will be to be successful on the pitch. Imagine having someone who loves the club like us owning it. We could have that, we'd have, if the Glazers actually cared, they'd sell up to Sean Turner. I'll be happy with any signings they get in, but I'll still be Glazers out. I let them spend whatever they want on wages. The end is near, says Wayne Finnegan. What if fans held up a huge banner, something anti-sponsored like no to Adidas? This would make all media nationally and internationally, says Fixo. Look, when it comes to sponsors, I've said before, they will get itchy feet if we start to target them. But I actually think the best thing to do is to appeal to the sponsors. You know, there must be a conversation that Sir Jim Ratcliffe can have with an Adidas and say, look, I'm trying to buy this football club. When I buy this football club, people are going to buy a lot more shirts, we're going to be more successful on the pitch. You need to help me put pressure on the Glazers to sell. That's what the sponsors need to do. I said this 2 nights ago. The sponsors don't necessarily need to be targeted. They can be, but actually we need them on board. We need the Glazers, we need the sponsors to be going to the Glazers and saying, you know, TeamViewer and Adidas, they don't owe the Glazers anything. They're paying, you know, if you think about what the simplest example is last night, Boohoo Man was sponsoring the show. Boohoo Man don't love the United stand. They're working with the United stand because they like what we do, and you know they want to give you a discount and they want you to buy their products. That's how it works. That's how sponsorship works. If we go to, if somebody who wants to buy United goes to Adidas and says, we want to work with you to get the club out of the hands of the Glazers, then Adidas should do it. Why would they be loyal to the Glazers? They'll be loyal to a contract. The problem is, what's in that contract? When you sign a contract with Manchester United, as Adidas or TeamViewer or anybody else, or Chevrolet or whoever, does it say in that contract you cannot, under any circumstances, promote or side with any attempt to oust the Glazers? Maybe that's in the contract, in which case there's only one way to target sponsors, isn't it? But they'll have break clauses the other way. Mark, send a message to Sir Jim, says Gita. I think we're sending a message to Sir Jim. Sky Sports tweeted that apparently United bid 120 million for João Felix and much was declined. Do you reckon it's true or not? Lovely streams, Mark, says LPR. Well, it's a great point. You know what I say to that? I mean, apparently we have bid for João Felix. Apparently we're going to bid for Casido. Apparently we're going to bid big for Casemiro. Apparently we're backing for Milinkovic-Savic. You know what I say to all those things? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if you buy all four of them. I don't care. Like, if they all made their debut on Monday night, there should still be protests, banners, the lot. It's not their fault, but their life will be better when the Glazers are gone, and so will everybody else's. When they're out of our club, it will be better. You cannot be blinkered by what they've done for the last 10 years. They've done this so many times. You know, you might think, oh, we've never had Casemiro before. We've had Paul Pogba. Oh, we've never had a João Felix before. We've had Zlatan. We've had Ronaldo. We've had Depay. We've had Di Maria. We've seen it all before. We've done it all before. We had world-class Varane last summer. Sancho. We've done this for years. Don't fall for it anymore. They will throw money to try and survive. The Glazers want to survive forever because the club's going to become more and more valuable. They're going to still take their dividends. I mean, remember, the Glazers had a fan forum not that long ago where they spoke to United fans and said, yeah, we'll work on the share price, yeah, we'll work on the stadium, but we're not negotiating on the dividends because dividends is part of business and that's what happens. No other Premier League club does it. But they still sat there in a fan forum and went, we're not negotiating about dividends, dividends are what happens in business. Let's keep this up. The Parasites have got to go, says MUFC. Welcome to Members Club, MUFC. Apparently we're back in for Anthony again, according to Sky Sports News. We have to keep the pressure on, says Scott. And why do you think Man United valuation will increase to 20 billion playing this boring and lifeless brand of football, says Pratish? The reason Man United's value will go up to 20 billion in the next few years is because at some point there'll be a Super League. At some point there'll be a massive TV deal. At some point, you know, money's just going to go up and up and up, and Man United will always be there because we've got a huge fan base. The value of Man United will keep going up and up, and we won't always be crap. Like, we'll get back to the days where we think it's crap, but we're still, you know, finishing fourth. That's money. Champions League. Like, fourth place is shit, but for the Glazers, it's brilliant. We're in the Champions League. Look at us sponsors. You know, that's all they want. I paid 30k for my season ticket to watch this set of donuts. I will do whatever's needed, says Is It Nanny. In 2 weeks, Ronaldo announces he's in the consortium of scenes with Sir Jim and Ronaldo running the club, says Arjun. I doubt it, but... Spot on Mark says, Ols, you have the biggest voice platform. How do we unite and implement these ideas? Would you lead this battle? You have more pull than you think, says Ols. I'm not leading the battle because I think that would be a negative thing. I don't think I can. And I would never do it anyway because I'm not that person, despite what people think. I am not arrogant, I am not a voice for the fans, and I've always said that. It's not my fault that this community started off with 10 people watching it and grew to what it is for 7 years. It's amazing, it's an amazing community, it's a powerful community, but I'm not a voice for the fans, I don't want to be, and I will do anything to help people unify this fan base and get everybody together. I wish I was on TalkSport tonight. I wish I was doing my TalkSport show tonight because it's national radio and I would unload. I don't think they'd shut me down for it either. But I wish this was Sunday night when I do my 8 o'clock show on TalkSport because I present that show for an hour and I would get calls on about this. I would push it out there on national radio. I would do it because it has to be done. It's so important. And they wouldn't shut me down for doing it because I'm a United fan, you're United fans, Manchester United's a football club, and we're in the hands of people who put us in debt and are parasites. And now we've got somebody who wants to buy this club. The platforms are there. You know, the platforms are there. People have mentioned Sir Alex Ferguson, Gary Neville. Everybody's got a part to play. Some big, some small, but everybody's got a part to play. Hi Mark, hypothetical, if the Glazers had fired bad directors sooner and hired experts, would you accept them, says Klaus. But it's a hypothetical, isn't it? You just said it yourself. You know, all I can say about that is, could the Glazers have run the club better? Could they have employed a better CEO? Could they have employed a better director of football? Yes, they could, and this is why they need to go. Because they ignored it. They can't sit there and go, oh, we're going to get a proper CEO now and a proper director of football. They've been told about it for years and they've ignored it, and they ignore it because they're not bothered, they just want money. There is no second chance. You can buy Casemiro, you can buy João Felix, you can buy Anthony, you're not having a second chance. They cannot be given another second chance. So buy those players, more fool you, because you're getting forced out, and whatever you spend now, you know, maybe they think, well, if we spend 70 million on Anthony, we'll add it onto the sale fee. You know, maybe that's their thought process. I don't know. I think all these signings is last chance saloon from the Glazers, testing the waters on social media to respond to big signings. Mohammed, you know what? Again, something else you can do on social media. Whenever you hear a transfer story from now, you know what you do in the replies. Don't care. Not bothered. You know, are you going to buy the shirts? Don't do it. Don't do it. But some people still will. Millions probably still will. If we sign Casemiro tomorrow and give him the number whatever shirt, how many is it going to sell on Saturday? You know it's going to happen, but those are the things that can really make an impact. Have you ever had thoughts of just changing your club, says Jonas? Never, never. I don't care if we're in the National League, mate. I said it when the Super League happened. I would rather be in the National League starting again than be in the Super League with the Glazers, and I would have happily done that, and I think most United fans would. Supporting a club is not about winning titles. Supporting a club is about supporting a club. This has got me more excited than anything, says Shauna. And also Sir Alex should support the Glazers out movement, and he was partly responsible in getting them there in the first place, says Drug. Hi Mark, the stadium needs ripping down, everyone comes together, says Mr. Weston. Well, it's interesting that in this statement that's come out tonight from the Sir Jim Ratcliffe side, they're actually talking about investment in the stadium. Wouldn't you prefer a Saudi, says Danny? No, I actually, if I have a preference, and I think that there are alternatives out there, and I think there is an alternative coming out in the next few days. So the ones I know about was the consortium that Michael Knighton was talking about, where he said that they might have enough to buy the club, but they don't have any money to do anything else. I think that consortium thing's over now, because all Michael Knighton wanted was Sir Jim Ratcliffe to come anyway, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe has come. So Michael Knighton's consortium is basically over, because Sir Jim Ratcliffe has now said he'll buy the club anyway. So that's probably number one. You've got an investment fund from New York, which has been rumoured for a while, so that's two. And there is a third one as well. Now the third one is the Sir Jim Ratcliffe one, because he's basically somebody who doesn't want profit, who cares about football, and wants to build a football club. So that would be my number one. Don't know enough about the investment fund. And the third option, I think, is a bit risky. I don't know whether it will become public in the next couple of days, but I know there is a third option. And let's be honest, there could be 4, 5, 6, because there might be a few billionaires now going, I quite fancy it, and I think that will happen as well. So we've always wanted to be in this situation where there's people who want to buy the club. There's been times over the last 10 years where Glazers out, they're rubbish, they don't know what they're doing, and you know, it's valid, but there's nobody to buy the club. What's happening now is, and I've never known a time like this, and I really hope if you take one thing from this video, I've never known a time like this. The time is now. Like this is real. Like there are real people with billions of pounds willing to buy the football club that you would take every day of the week over the Glazers. So the time is now to do it. I hope we don't miss the boat. I really don't. And I think the fans have got a part to play in this. We may not need to play any part. In an ideal world, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's in contact with the Glazers and they're negotiating a sale right now. We may not have to do anything, but can you take that chance? What if the Glazers are saying, thanks for the inquiry, we're not for sale and we're not selling? Well, that's where the fans have to be working on stuff, because they were shitting themselves after the Super League stuff, and you know you've got to try and do it again. Carlos makes a good point. He says second chance, what you want about this is like the 20th chance, exactly. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way, bottom right hand corner, get involved with the United Stand. It's a big time, and it's going to be a big time over the next 2 weeks as well, so make sure you're tuning in, subscribe bottom right hand corner, and get that message out there and be part of it. Maybe the players saying they're disappointed by the lack of signings. Eric have had their way of getting them out. You can always hope anyway, says Elliot. Really hope all this comes to something. Don't want to get hyped just to keep getting disappointed, says Death Boy. Well, somebody asked in the chat, and it flew by earlier on, how does an owner get forced out of its own company? What will the process be if this gets successful? Because I don't get it. You force them to sell, Rican. You put them in a situation. Basically, you've got to make them want to sell. You know, if you live in a house and you own a house and you don't want to sell it and someone wants to buy it from you, you know, what do you do? I mean, it wouldn't work in the modern day, but, you know, you cut the water off, you cut the electricity off, you know, you put barriers outside the house so they can't get the shop in. You know, that's a very simplistic view on how you get someone to sell a house, but how do you get someone to sell a club? You make things very difficult for them. You know, you bring the share price down. You get sponsors on at them saying, you know, we're not happy with this. You know, there's a million and one ways to do it. Now there are buyers. Can you give a prediction when there actually will be a takeover? Because I think it's a matter of time, says Nathan. Well, I can give a prediction, Nathan, but the sale of Manchester United could take a year. It could take 2 years. It could take 6 months. You know, it's not going to be done tomorrow and then we make some signings. It's short-term pain for long-term gain. Things will get better to get... things will get worse to get better. Mark, why do you think this is all blowing up now? Do you think the Glazers may have put word out that they're open to listen to offers? I'm hoping so, Mark, and I think that's probably one of the most intelligent comments of the night. Suggestions: fans should unfollow United on social media, says Sig. I wouldn't unfollow Man United on social media. Personally, I wouldn't do that. Sky is saying that Manchester United will go back in for Ajax forward Anthony. Yeah, this is completely, you know. So Jim Radcliffe, clip this by the way. So Jim Radcliffe wants to buy a stake in Manchester United with a view to taking full control of if the Glazers welcome new investment. A few minutes later, Man United are going back in for Anthony. See it for what it is, people. It's spin. The Glazers don't want to go. They know this is a threat. They know this is a viable threat, and they know you'll get behind it. They need to conquer. They need to divide. They need to stop you getting behind this. Spending 90 million on Anthony is not something they want to do. They don't want to do it, but they'll do it to stop you getting behind that. And that's what it is. Simple as. We've seen it before. Di Maria, Pogba. They'll spend the money when they're terrified. What you've got to do now is think to yourself as a United fan and make your own choice. Are you going to fall for it? Are you going to fall for an Anthony and a Casemiro, or both? Are you going to fall for the Glazers suddenly spending money quickly because they're desperate to cling on to this club and keep bleeding it dry for the next 10, 20 years? Or are you going to get behind this? Are you going to take the short-term pain for the long-term gain and send a message that the time to go is now? We've had enough. Do you want to wake up in the morning and realise that your club's not in debt anymore, that dividends aren't being taken out, and that you're now finally a football club that's focused on being successful on the pitch and not on the balance sheet? The time is now. The opportunity is there. It's up to you if you're going to be conned by Anthony and everybody else that they're going to go in for now because they're desperate. Get it out there. You know, you clip me up out of context enough, clip me up for that and put it out there. You know, the time is now. The time is now. Wild thought, do you think Sir Alex does not want his legacy tarnished like he does not want his success to be overridden, says John. Welcome to the Members Club, Miyad, and we have never had a viable buyer until now. Our voices and protests are so much more powerful now, we can make them uncomfortable and they will leave, says Ian Rumba. Look, if you're protesting on Monday nights, you're protesting knowing there's a viable buyer behind you. If you're not buying a shirt tonight, you know that, you know, it's not a lonely thing of not buying a shirt for yourself or your kids. You know there's a viable buyer that when these Adidas get onto United and get pissed off, it might just make a difference. You know, if you're going to go into Old Trafford or not be in Old Trafford on Monday night, if you're going to go in with a banner or whatever and sing a song about the Glazers, then you know there is a viable buyer. Every bit of action now, and it needs to be coordinated and it needs to be unified, but every bit of action people take against the Glazers now, you know you're doing it with a viable buyer. We didn't have an alternative. Now we do. That is a very, very powerful thing. To know that somebody wants to buy this football club is a very, very, very powerful thing. Now, somebody just said to me to check something on Twitter. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff on Twitter, and it's going to be impossible to, you know, go for everything. But let's have a quick look. Samuel Lucas said that Manchester United are not commenting on Sir Jim Ratcliffe's interest in buying the club, feeling in recent weeks as the Glazers would have to bring in an investor or sell sooner rather than later to improve cash flow. Well, look, that takes me on to a level. Look, I used to work in finance. I used to work in investment banking before I did this for a few years, and you know, it's how you put it to people who don't really understand it. But it's actually very simple. It's like most things, like football. It's quite very, very, very simple. So, what we might see happen is we may see the Glazers sell completely. Hopefully, that's what we want to see. What we might see is the Glazers ask for an investor. Now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe will invest, and let's say the Glazers say they're going to sell 25% of the club to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but that's all they're going to sell. He would invest in the club 25%, and as part of that 25%, he would say, I will invest so much money to rebuild the ground. However, in the next 2 years, I want to take total control of the club. I will take that. I will take that. What you don't want is Sir Jim Ratcliffe taking 25% of the club and the Glazers are taking 75% for the next 20 years. That can't happen. So I think if you're going to take an the scary thing is, what if another American or another Saudi Arabian or an Australian or another, you know, anybody, doesn't matter where they're from actually, it's an irrelevant point. What if the Glazers find another Glazers who wants to put 25% in and bleed the club dry like they have? That's the scary thing. We have got no control. Chelsea, it was to the best bidder for what was best for the club. Manchester United, the Glazers pick the buyer. The Glazers pick the investor. They can pick whoever they bloody well like. So it's really important. It's really important that we get the right people, and we don't actually have a say in that. So how do we get a say in that? We've got to force them to sell. Mark, can you give us a summary of what is happening as of right now? Says Ty, I will do. And if the buying happened now, how long the takeover will take? Mate, as I said, how long's a piece of string? It could take 6 months, it could take 6 years. You just don't know. So yeah, it could take a long time. It might not. We'll have to wait and see. It might not happen at all. Instead of many individual signs that say Glazers out, you're better off if everyone together can spell out one big Glazers out in the stadium, possible, just off the grid. Yeah, look, so the summary as we get it at the moment, I'm just checking for the latest news. The summary as we have it at the moment is that Manchester United are Manchester United. I mean, look, Malachi and Phil Brown love him. He basically said Man United are 100% up for sale. I've not even had a chance to talk about that. Sky might have had a bid rejected by Atletico for Felix and rebuild million. See, Connor, thank you very much. But you know, since we've been on air, we've had a bid for João Felix. We're gonna buy Casemiro, and we're back in for Anthony. That doesn't make me think that Man United are for sale. I don't think they're up for sale. I don't think the Glazers want to sell, because if the Glazers wanted to sell, I don't think they'd be buying players. They'd just be thinking, don't spend any money because it's all our profit. I think the Glazers don't want to sell, and I think they're desperately trying to buy big players to make you happy, to make you stop thinking about what it says below. So where we are at the moment is, so Jim Ratcliffe, who is a billionaire, who tried to buy Chelsea a couple of months ago, who is a Man United fan, wants to buy a football club, is not about profit, and wants to rebuild a football club to being great again. That's what he wants to do. It's a project. He wants to do it. And he wants to buy Man United. And there's been spokesmen from his business confirming that. We have a viable buyer for Manchester United. That is the update of where we are. Now, here's a case point that you might want to be worried about. Arsenal, was it a year ago or 2 years ago? Wasn't it Spotify who wanted to buy Arsenal? And Arsenal fans got very excited about it, and they wanted it to happen. And Kroenke said, no, we're not for sale. And did they get taken over by Spotify? Were Arsenal successful, or are the Kroenkes still in charge of Arsenal? So, look, this is not the end. It's a spark. You can't start a fire without a spark, but a spark is not a fire. There is a spark there. Are you going to blow it out, or are you going to help it turn into something? And that, to me, is, and many of you, what do we do from here? There's a protest on Monday night. There needs to be a hell of a lot more than that. But when they sign Casemiro or De Jong or Anthony or whatever they're going to do now, what happens then? Is it the end of all this? We just go back to what the Glazers want, where we just put up with it because we bought a player and we buy the shirt? Or is it the end? Or is it the end? And we make it the end? You know, there's two options here. There's a short path where you go, yay, we've got Anthony, we're back. And you know, over the future, we come back to where we are now. Or there's the short-term path where it's going to be painful, where you go, don't give a shit who you sign, Glazers out, consistently, get out of our club. We're going to really push this as far as we can to get you out. And then when they're out, they're gone. The thing is, once they're gone, they're gone. Couldn't be like that. They're gone. You've got to work for it. Apparently the De Jong saga has all been fake and they've known for ages and they aren't getting him, similar to what happened with Sancho in 2020 to Spain. Can you commit to going on Monday to encourage more people to go, says Asher. And Mark, we should call the campaign Enough is Enough and have someone like Nick Lynch as a spokesman, says Josh Davies. And Mark, I cannot speak for the many here at United Stand, but I'm sure we will all here back any attempts to out the Glazers and back Man United fan strategies and ideas, says Mo. Thank you very much for that, Mo. There is no structure at any level of the club. It's horrifying, Mark. Americans know well about the cancel culture. They should be afraid. Glazers out, says Kartik. Somebody's just tell me to check something else on Twitter, so I'm just going to check it now. I suspect I know where he is. Let's have a look.
Great save, real class. Oh, that's a sparkling save, absolutely sparkling. His reflexes.
Oh, so Michael Knighton, who obviously had we did an interview with him last week. Talking about Man United last week and. Putting a bid in and a hostile bid. He's put a tweet out saying, "So Jim Ratcliffe, yes. This is wonderful news. I said from day one the Glazers will be gone this time, and the great Jim Ratcliffe is the man to it, and it's happened. Thank you to every fan that believed this message. Your support has been magnificent. Bravo." So I actually think that'll be the end of Michael Knighton's consortium, because he always said that it was about I mean, to be fair, whether you like the guy or not, realistically, he either knew it was going to happen or it's happened because, or partly because of that. He came out and said there was going to be a hostile bid, and the whole point of it was to smoke out to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And well, it's happened anyway. Whether that was by design or luck, it's happened. So, feel sorry for Ten Hag. Had to deal with so much already. We'll have to field all the journalist questions while the Glazers will hide. Aaron, yeah. I mean, look. We'll be back to talking about football tomorrow. We will be back to talk about football tomorrow. There's so much I would tonight's show was meant to be about leaks from the dressing room. Leaks from the dressing room about Ten Hag's style of play. We'll talk about that in the morning. There's quite a few things about transfers and Casemiro and loads and loads of stuff really. But it's too important to talk about that stuff tonight. Watch how the spin hits from Friday. They will say they can sign De Jong, Casemiro and Casido. Just say fans don't say they Radcliffe can buy the club, says Hamish. Facilitating this is going to be really hard. Imagine Ronaldo pulls a rabbit out of the hat Monday night. Timeline's going to be filled with Sue, says Blick. I think that you know what? There's a battle ahead, and many battles are lost. Classic words, not my words, the words of Sting. But there is a battle ahead, and we may lose this battle, even though we finally got. I love an analogy, and I feel that we've wanted rid of the Glazers for a long time. Some people have been fighting this fight since the mid-2000s. Some people have been fighting it since 2010. Some people have been fighting it the last few years. Some people are only fighting it now. It doesn't matter. It's not about who's the bestest fan and who's been doing it for the longest. All those things you can argue about later. It's about this huge fan base we have. Do you want to fight it with a little bit, or do you want to fight it with all of it? But one thing we've never had, no matter how many of us fighting together or not, we've never had the weaponry. The Glazers have got the trying to get the Glazers out of Old Trafford is like Old Trafford being a fortress of steel, and we're banging on it with breadsticks. No matter how many millions of us there are, we've only got breadsticks, we can't climb over, and we can't penetrate the Glazers' kingdom. We've never had the weaponry to do it. There may be millions of us, but we can't get in. It's encased with titanium, and we've only got breadsticks. But now, with these buyers, we've got the weaponry to get in and get them out. The thing is, are we going to do it? When the Glazers stand over the top of the castle and go, "Don't fight us, we're going to throw you free money down," some people will pick the money off and walk away. Obviously they're not going to give us free money, but they're going to give us Anthony, they're going to give us Casemiro, they're going to give us Milinkovic-Savic, they're going to give us João Felix. Now we're not probably going to get all four, but they'll give as many of us as they can. And some people will go, "Oh, I'm not interested now. I'm not interested. No, you know, we're winning. We've got the players I want. I'm not bothered anymore about a new owner." And then divide and conquer starts, doesn't it? Because that's going to happen, and it's about whether you as an individual are going to fall for it again, or whether you're going to keep pushing for this change. And that's going to be the challenge. That is going to be the challenge, because they are going to do it. To which I would say this: if you do buy Anthony, and you do buy João Felix, and you do buy whoever else, why tomorrow, 2 weeks tomorrow, the transfer window closes? This transfer window's really been open since the end of May. You know, Haaland to Man City was sorted out at the end of May, as were a few other deals. May was 2.5 months ago. Let's be generous, 2 months. So for the last 2 months you bought next to nothing, and in the last 2 weeks you're suddenly bidding for João Felix and this, that and the other. We've lost to Brentford and Brighton. See it for what it is. If they ever really wanted João Felix or Anthony or Casemiro, they'd have got them in June. We'd have had them for Brentford and Brighton and we wouldn't have lost 6 points. Why are they buying them now with 2 weeks to go? Why are they buying players for massive money that we've wanted all summer with 2 weeks to go? Because this person wants to buy the club and the Glazers don't want to sell and they need to survive. And spending £200 million now to keep the club and watch the value go up by billions is a drop in the ocean. It's a game. It's a game, and it's whether you want to fall for it. And I can't tell you not to, and you know, other people can't. It's up to you. The Glazers don't really get to pick the Premier League owners. Test is better now. Newcastle side, and can bet the Premier League will scrutinise this more than normal as we are such a huge cash cow. That's a great point by Rory as well. The Glazers don't really get to pick who they sell to a certain extent. We've got to fight the battles that we can win, and this time round it seems we can win this as Mojo. I just hope that the fan base does unite and does work together to do big things. I hope that there are plenty of ideas that people can get involved in, and I hope that the people that have the ability to get that message out speak together and work together, because you know, I mean, look, case in point, I don't know what their stance is tonight. The Manchester United Supporters Trust have worked very hard on a vote for shares in the club from the Glazers. Will they walk away from that now and get their members to back the Glazers out movement and get Jim Radcliffe in? It's a risk when they put so much work into getting shares out of the Glazers. Will they stick with that plan and say, that's the one we've been working on? Or will they go, this is a real chance to get rid of the Glazers, let's put things in place to get rid of the Glazers? They've got to turn full circle on the plan they were doing. Interested to see what Manchester United Supporters Trust is going to do. Hopefully they're going to go, no, we're Glazers out, we're getting behind Mr. Jim Radcliffe thing, let's do it. That's what I want to hear. They've got whatever you do about Manchester United Supporters Trust, they've got a lot of members, they've got a lot of power to spread the news, and they've got a lot of ability to say, let's do this, let's do that. So look, there's loads of people. As a celebration to potential buyer off topic, you bring back Red Dead or Fall Guys for 11 PM, Mr. Nathan. And Carmine, welcome to the Members Club as well, thank you. So, everyone search Man United Takeover, says that we have been handed down the club from our fathers who weren't able to win the fight against Davis. However, I will not stand down. Watch my kids suffer support from this club.
Meko!
Let's rejoice in this moment now as the time.
Charger!
Fan base, a family together for our club. Let's do this, says TG. And I don't know what the players' feeling at the moment, but what Man United needs now is a psychologist to deal with the players' mentality, says Dennis. A few people saying 1958 tweet. I mean, this is a case in point. I really wish you hadn't said it, because they blocked me and the United stand from day one, and they do protest, and they're doing a protest on Monday night. and I'd love to know what that tweet says, but I can't get that tweet up because they blocked us from day one. So, you know, it'd be nice if they unblocked us and we could say what their tweet was about, because as I've said, we want to unify the fan base and we want to get this community that is massive on board with anything that's going to help get the Glazers out. I don't know what that tweet says. I mean, I'll go on Twitter, I'll search the name, and I'll see if I can read it out to you, but this is part of, not the problem, I'm not going to use those words, but this is part of how we can make a difference. You know, if we do know what is being said, then we can, you know, we can put that message out. I don't know what the tweet says. It doesn't say anything, says Jason. Okay, so we've been scammed in the chat now, I suppose, with it. But yeah, not 100% sure what that's all about. Yeah. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way, bottom right hand corner. They blocked us from day one, mate. Apparently fan channels are part of the problem. Yeah, I don't know whether that's still the stance, but fan channels can be part of the solution, just the same as the Manchester United Supporters Trust, the Red Army, and every fan and every supporters group in India, Australia. You know, I think that's another great way that you can hit people as well. There are amazing Manchester United supporters clubs. There's loads of them in India, Australia, America, all around the world. I mean, these are people with email lists and members that you can hit and say, do this, do this, do this, do this. There's so many opportunities. Breaking news, I am now demanding a full control of the club via email message to Joel Glazer, says Rupee. And Mike Ashley wanted to sell and they were brought in a month. Same could happen with these guys if you come together and make them sell. This is Nathan Allen. But you know what, as I said, Arsenal is an example of how this can fail. Spotify wanted to buy Arsenal and Kroenkes wouldn't sell. Who owns Arsenal a couple of years later? Kroenkes. So if you just think that this person wanting to buy United means it's all over, no. There's a viable owner, and it's on the fans to play their part in making it very clear that the Glazers' time is up. Now, somebody asked a question before, and I've been thinking about it all show. I looked on the Man United website, and Martial wasn't in training. Do you think he'd be available? He was in training this week, Lewis, so I think he is back. I want to buy United, says GJ. Mark, you all the platforms in the supporters club should meet, says Red. What do I think would get the Glazers out very quickly? I think if the share price plummeted, the share price is going to go up now, by the way, because of this. This is the stupid thing. Whenever there's talk of a takeover, the share price goes up, which the Glazers will love. We need the share price to come down, which is very hard when people know there's a buyer. So that's very, very difficult to do. You know, the Glazers are actually going to profit from this news. So you've got to be very, very careful. You've got to be very, very clever on what you do to make the Glazers sell. Because this news actually puts the share price up. Yeah, I think protests are very powerful. I think match day publicity is very important. What I mean by that is you've got to make the world know that, and we've got to make the Glazers know that this is going to go on and on and on and never stop. Now, if you could empty Old Trafford every game, that would send a strong message. I just don't know how you do that, and I don't know how you demand people to do it. It's very difficult. We saw the other, you know, we saw it in the last season on a midweek game against Chelsea, wasn't it, on a Thursday night that no one was really interested in. People were told not to bother turning up, and to be fair, I don't think 20,000 did, but it still looks quite full with 50,000 in. So it's very, very difficult to do that. But you know, the social media campaigns, definitely. There are definitely ways that things can be done, but it's got to be done together and not fragmented. Can we get in with the transfer news now? Boring, says Ibis. Mate, if you want transfer news, you can jog on. I'm going to use you as a sacrificial lamb. If you want to talk about transfer news, go away, because that is going to be exactly the thing that makes us fail. Because when they sign Anthony, a player I really want, by the way, when they sign Anthony, you're going to forget about tonight. In fact, you're already forgetting about tonight already. It's the case in point. People are bored of talking about the takeover now. Oh, talk to me about Milinkovic-Savic. Talk to me about Anthony. Talk to me about Joe Felix. Oh, talk to me about whether Maguire's going to get dropped on Monday. You see, we're already losing. We're already losing because that you've lasted an hour. before your attention span has wandered there. And the Glazers will be going, this is great. This is great. Put another bid in now for Casemiro, because if we get him, the shirt sales, the positivity, we're here for another 10 years, John. And that's it. This is the battle we now face. This is the battle we now face. How deep is your love? Kick in the Bee Gees. How deep is your love for Manchester United? How shallow are you as a United fan? Can you be flirted with? Can you be swayed by a few 50 million signings in the next couple of weeks? Or will you stay the course in the message that the best short-term pain for long-term gain, basically? That's what it's all about. Anyway, keep questions coming in. Make sure you subscribe, by the way, bottom right-hand corner, to get involved. It's been an interesting show tonight, and I think that it's going to be very. I think it's going to be. It was always going to be very, very busy over the next a couple of weeks anyway. 2 weeks of the transfer window to go. It's going to get very, very busy, but. It's going to be very interesting to see how this story pans out now. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when it actually came out that we had somebody, that statement, which I kept up all night, the Agra Post. It's the buyer most people want, and it's from a credible outlet with quotes. Unbelievable. What do you think of AC Milan's success after getting rid of their owners, says Ronan? Well, yeah, look, yeah, there's plenty of examples, but our success can be built by ourselves. The first step is to get those Glazers out, and I'm very, very excited to see what we can do. Just having a look if there's any updates coming in since we've been live. Pulisic on loan, João Felix, Casemiro. Yeah, it's not clear whether the Glazers want to sell. Back in for Anthony. The Glazers are sounding out third parties on behalf of the club as to their interest in buying a part of the Glazers' stake. My fear is that some twat will say to the Glazers, yeah, we'll buy Man United, we'll buy 25%, and we don't want anything in return. That's a dream for the Glazers. That's just another loan, isn't it? They keep hold of the club. We need them out. I think it's going to be very interesting next few days to see what happens next, really. The thing I can recommend for this channel is to keep uploading videos of this takeover. Don't talk about transfers. That keeps the story going, says Arjun Jay. Mate, I've done this before. We will be back talking about transfers tomorrow because it's a news show at 10 o'clock. And unfortunately, we're not going to get a statement from Sir Jim Radcliffe every bloody day. But I know how to keep this going. It's just whether people stay interested in it. James, welcome to the Members Club. And, we can't not preview the game against Liverpool and stuff like that. We will still do that. And actually, the test needs to be for you, the individual. Can you keep it up? We can't keep doing the same video every day, 3 times a day for the next 2 months. But you have got to keep that fire burning if you want to. Do the Glazers own the women's team as well? Yeah, of course they do. They own Manchester United, Adam. It's just that's what they do. I'm just trying to see if anybody's... Did anybody actually clip that bit that I did? I can't even remember what I said. I want to tweet it out. I don't know whether anybody clipped it. Oh yeah, I've got it. I'm just going to retweet it. So there you go. There's something you can go and do. It's on Twitter now. I've just retweeted it from the United stand, and it's exactly the message that needs to go out. So if you want to retweet it, at Mark Goldbridge, and that's what we've got to do. We'll use the platform in that way, and I think it will show others how we can use this platform. The community is massive. We're approaching 1.5 million subscribers. We've got 1.3 million followers on Twitter. It's a massive, massive platform that when you retweet something or tweet something, it will hit a lot of people. And, I've just tweeted that thing on at Mark Goldbridge. Go and retweet it yourselves. And it just shows what can happen. And if Must are doing something, or 58 101 blockers and want us to tweet something, we can do that. I can't retweet it when they blocked us, and you've got a protest on Monday night. Let's get it out there. You might get a few thousand people more there. You know, all right, you might not like me because I'm from Nottingham, or I don't want Maguire to be in the team. But what does that matter in relation to getting the club sorted out? You know, we've got to, you know, we don't need to like each other. And actually, I don't dislike anybody anyway. But we can work together, definitely, unifying the fan base. I believe, or even if you don't want to work together, just use the bloody platform so that we can put stuff out there. I believe with staggered payments, use it like a notice board. You know, you don't have to know who owns the notice board. Just use it as a notice board. This is happening. This is happening. Get behind this. Get behind that. Because even then it might not be enough, but at least we'll have tried. I believe with the staggered payments for players, Glazers might throw 100 million in signing 5 players for which we'll pay over the next 5 years, says Mojo. How good was the Grand Theft Auto 11 PM, says Nathan Allen. He's still talking about playing games. Dennis, legend of the chat, has just gifted 5 United Stand memberships. Thank you very much. Get your badge next to your names. And as much as signing top players is nice, it's desperation. Glazers out before anything. We have to be united on this. Get the Glazers out. We can do it, says Rob. Well, I'll make a pledge to you then. I'm going to make a pledge to you now, and let's just see how much shit I get for it. Because I know I'll get it, but I'll do it to prove to you that I will see this through to whatever end it is. If the Glazers stay, then it's not going to be on me. I'm not going to say I didn't try. So I'm going to do everything I can, and I don't think I can do a lot on my own, to get the Glazers out. So every signing we make between now and the transfer window closing, whether it's Anthony, who I want, or whether it's Casemiro, who I wouldn't mind, or João Felix, who I wouldn't mind, or, you know, some shit player I don't want. Every signing we make, when it's official, I will do the video. I will start off with a statement about why I want the Glazers to go and why we need to get behind Sir Jim Radcliffe or anybody else. And then after that, we can talk about the signing. So I will do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep doing that. And I might be doing it in 3 or 4 months, and everyone will be going, "Oh, shut up, Goldbridge. Shut up. Just let it go." But I will do it. I will do it. And let's see how many other people are still doing it and where we are. And that's my pledge. And I'll do a lot more, but I will do that. I want Anthony at Man United. We should have bloody bought him 2 months ago. I really want Anthony. I think he's a fantastic player. But when we sign Anthony, if we sign Anthony, I will spend the first part of the video on a statement of why we need to get rid of the Glazers. So Jim bid 4.25 million for Chelsea. Do you think this will be enough for the Glazers to sell? Says Dark. I think that he'll bid more because we are worth more. I think they would want around 6 for Man United. I don't think he did bid 4.25 for Chelsea anyway. Maybe he did. I don't know. Murta and Arnold did great job indirectly. Fair play, says Jay. Anyway, I'm going to stop there because... Oh, no, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not. Apparently somebody just... Bart! Somebody tweet. What's that all about? Oh, man, I don't know who this is. It's a podcast for Ajax. Manchester United want to make a renewed opening offer for Anthony of 80 million euros. What, the 80 million euros they refused to pay in the first place? I mean, do they think we're stupid? We spent all of July... Look, I'll use this as part of it, right? Okay. So, if you remember at the start of June, I did a video. It was my sister's birthday, so it was around June the 10th. It wasn't even in the British press. It was from... it was in Brazilian... It was 1 or 2 Brazilian outlets. And I did a video saying, we're in for Anthony. It's going to hit the UK press in the next few days. It hit the UK press. We were in for Anthony. We were always quite well informed on Anthony's side that the agent and Anthony wanted to come to Man United, that Ten Hag wanted Anthony, but Ajax wouldn't sell unless it was 80 million euros. Man United walked away because it was too much money. That's the story. Anthony wanted to come to United. Ten Hag wanted him at United. He was a prime target. Ajax said they'd sell for 80 million euros. And Man United, in July, walked away and said, we're not paying that. And now, because this person wants to buy the club, the Glazers are going back in and paying 80 million euros. See it for what it is. If they weren't under pressure to sell, they wouldn't be buying Anthony. They're just doing it to try and protect themselves. It's so bloody obvious. Chelsea had to be sold, that's why they were sold. They had no choice, so if this war wasn't happening, they would have had no buyers. That's the difference, says Nathan. Make a video about how bad the Glazers are that I can share with friends and such on social media. I've just done, there's loads of it. Simon, it's basically been an hour and a half of it, to be fair. I can't believe we've been live for an hour and a half actually. Please make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner, smash a like on the video. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming out over the next day or two, so make sure you subscribe. Let's see what happens. But ultimately, I'll say it again, as I said at the start, this is not a drill. We finally have a viable buyer for Manchester United. The Glazers do not want to sell. What are you going to do to make this person our new owner? We need to get the Glazers out. This fan base needs to work together like it has done before and make this happen. And it cannot be swayed by these late desperation signings they're going to do to try and make you calm down and ignore that. Simple as that. Miles, thank you for being a member. When's the next cooking show? Says Ronan. Got no idea, Ronan. More important things to cook. Thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock unless something happens before. So make sure you playing us. Manchester United side against. Yesterday, it was a big tactical. I want to say gaff from Eric Ten Hag with Manchester United. He made what Gary Neville pre-match wrapped up as ballsy decisions, playing a small Manchester United side against Brentford, playing a side who clearly were set up to be more Eric Ten Hag than the previous regime, but then put Ronaldo in there, sort of trying to mix and match, but in a way which almost left them quite open. And I thought in the game, United looked super naive.
Yeah, I agree.
Are United in crisis?
Oh, I think they are in crisis. Yeah, yeah. I think we were talking about this before. They're not a rock bottom. No, not having that.
Right.
But I think they are in crisis because they're. I said it earlier. They're lost.
Right.
They're lost. And it's, but at the same time, it feels so obvious what they kind of need to do. They don't seem to have the gumption or the conviction to do it. And it's also they're sort of scrabbling about now when all the big moves should have been made in latest mid-July.
Yeah, they felt fixated on De Jong. They felt fixated. I mean, maybe they weren't, and maybe the media were. and maybe United have been doing things behind the scenes, but the fact that this Arnautovic thing has been out there, the fact that they've had Rabiot associated with the club, he's a decent player, but he's been really out of form and has really not been good for Juventus as far as the reports go anyway. I don't watch Juventus week in, week out, but I do watch the Champions League.
But the fact that...
Which is why I don't know much about it.
But you're buying players that are question marks. That, like someone that... I can't remember how to describe it. They use the phrase maybes.
Right.
Why are they linked with maybes?
But you know the weird thing? I get it. Like, the problem being, I think sometimes... some people, Liverpool link with a few people that we wouldn't know. Like, when we signed Jadon Shaqiri or someone like that, and they go, well, that's a maybe, isn't it? If lots of people like this signed, Arnautovic or whoever, then we go, that's decent.
But that doesn't. No, that falls down because Shaqiri you were buying as a squad player.
Right.
You weren't buying him as a first team player. The first team players that you were buying, that you brought in, that you knew were first team players, were Alisson, were Van Dijk, were
Fabinho.
You know they're first team players.
So I asked you, are Manchester United in crisis? And you said, on the pitch, absolutely.
On the pitch, absolutely they're in crisis because you have a whole concoction of problems, including the fact that the midfield is still a mess. You brought Eriksen and played him in two different positions already. The sort of understanding of the team and what they need to do is not there. And also you've got a manager who everyone would have said, myself included, he has a very clear philosophy in terms of how he wants to play, which is exactly the kind of philosophy that you want to employ for a team that is going to dominate the league.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you haven't got the players to do so.
Yeah.
So someone like Martinez is, the fact that he's 5'9" is not a problem if you're a dominant team that's playing, for example, like Man City played yesterday. They played 48% of the game in the opposition's third.
Yeah.
Not in the opposition's half, the opposition's third. And so if you're playing that way, you can have this thing that's called a leftover defence, where you have the two guys at the back left over, and that's where someone like Martinez... They're watching, but they're also going to be important in terms of... That's why Tomori's doing so well, is he plays in that kind of defence. And although he's not big, his defensive duties are being played in the opposition's half.
Right.
So you're not in the same trouble as you are as Man United are, where you then need to be big when you're in your own third.
Because you're controlling the game.
Yeah. And so this lack of control makes Martinez look like a bad buy. He's not a bad buy.
No,
you need to completely change the entire team and make the whole team better. And then you add on top of that, this is a team in complete quicksand and who can't progress the ball. And you've got a forward who yes, he does score goals, but
who's that?
Ronaldo.
Right.
It just doesn't work for me.
Well, there's breaking news on the Ronaldo front from Sky Sports, and this is a big source. Your very own Sky Sports. Who'd have thought that one day our little Jim, little tiny, nothing, that man, he was nothing on the ant that was on the boot of Rupert Murdoch. Right? No, seriously though, breaking news. Manchester United are considering that if they don't see a change in attitude from Cristiano Ronaldo, they would terminate his contract.
Do it today.
Just for the banter.
Not for the banter.
Imagine they call him and they went, for the banter.
But so the thing is that, right? How do you resolve this, right? Teams don't want to buy him, obviously, because they know that they could probably get him for and they were never thinking that they were going to get him. It wasn't like, okay, we're going into this transfer window, Ronaldo's the one to get.
Yeah.
So it's a bonus, right, if you do get him. So you don't want to spend any money on him, because you're going to have to pay it all on wages anyway. So you might as well sort of wait to the end and see if you can get your hands on him.
Right.
So the way to resolve this is... Because the thing you do by letting Ronaldo go, if you go to Ronaldo, we're not going to pay your wages for next year. Yeah, you want to go. You've been an egg.
Yeah.
You've been a child.
Right. Okay.
Right. Like,
you've been an egg. Excuse me.
You've been a bad egg.
It's a saying, all right. It's a saying, Cristiano. Yeah. You've been.
It's Portuguese for egg.
Balls. All right. Okay.
He's been a child in this and going, I want to go.
Yeah.
Right. When you signed a 2-year deal, so he shouldn't be getting his wages. So Man United could save on his wages.
Because surely if they terminate them, they have to. There's some payment that means they have to get rid. They go, okay, 5 million or something, and you're gone, or whatever it is.
But if he's so desperate to go, he needs to do, he has to sort of give and take with that as well, because those teams will take him if he's a free agent. Atletico Madrid they will take him if he's a someone will take him.
But surely, yeah, I understand your point.
Ovo, bad Ovo. Mal Ovo.
That was really worth it. You really go down the route at that point of, is he slightly outdated for a lot of teams, and I get he scores goals. With Ronaldo, Manchester United will be making probably the biggest statement the club has made in recent years by terminating the contract of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, but I think it's a good sign of strength. What the future isn't about Ronaldo.
Sure, but they signed him. I will remind you. You know what's a terrible sign is if you sign a player and then a year later you terminate their contract. That is a sign of a terribly run club.
Totally understand. Totally agree with that. But you have to. Bad decisions occur with bad clubs who are in bad positions. So at one point you have to stop making bad decisions.
Yeah.
And don't go, well, we're just going to stick with it because we've made the decision now. It's not.
Right.
It's not worked. It's not working. It's not gonna work. So get rid of him, strip it back, and move forward with a clean slate. Because I promise you, if you take him out of the equation and we're not talking about him anymore, and the expectations of the whole club drop because you don't have the personnel, Rashford will get better. Bruno Fernandes will get better. Martial will get better because they will feel valued. And that is something that has happened at Arsenal with Arteta. He's gone, these are the rules. If you don't behave by these principles, you are gone. Yeah. And you have to show it a few times. Like, Edu didn't want Aubameyang to go. I get it because he's got something to offer. We saw that at Barcelona. He was great there, right? But
sorry, that was my fault.
He's a sucker for the framing.
Yeah.
But Arteta, you had to go, this is our guy. This is the guy we're going to stick with. I can see what you're trying to do here. We've got some of the pieces now. We stripped it back. We've got rid of all these guys. And then you start to build from there. Man United are 2 years away if they want to be, if they make enough correct decisions. But they keep making the wrong decisions and
doubling down.
And not buying people that are very specific profiles to what Ragnick said, which was, what's the headline? The headline is, how do you want to play?
And they don't know.
But they do know. They've got Ten Hag.
No, but that's the point. So
start now, is what I'm saying.
So that's the way Ten Hag wants to play. And I think...
Don't bring him in if you're not going to back him in terms of getting where you want to be to how you want to play, which is a style of play that will lead, if you've got good enough players with the right profiles to dominate football matches. If you're not going to back him, why have you even got him there?
Because they don't. First of all, I think there's a lot of bad football advice being given in that club. Where if you go for Eric Ten Hag and you go, right, we want him, we'll get him. I think a lot of people
just do it.
I think a lot of people now go, okay, they've got Eric Ten Hag, fantastic. That fixes so much that's happening at the club. I think they sort of thought, well, that's it, done. We've done it. And we're over the line. From here on out, it's plain sailing. Because Eric, who do you need? And then
when did they do that? When was that conversation? Because that conversation is clearly not.
But no, it clearly has, because they've gone out, they've gone for De Jong, they've gone for a couple of other players, they've been rumoured to go for people like Arnautovic. Arnautovic sort of fits a profile of, I can see Arnautovic playing at Ajax. Do you know what I mean? I can see Ajax at some point signing someone like Arnautovic and people going, that's smart, isn't it? So I understand it, but what it shows is the bigger problem at United is the ownership and the structure of the club are such huge issues. They set such a bad tone for everyone else. Everyone else at the club just goes, oh, I'm just not going to bother them. But the players look demoralised.
No, they do, and yeah, we should get to that because it's about conviction as well. If you're going to go for Arnautovic, go for Arnautovic. Like, do you know what I mean? Don't go for it. We hear something, then we change our mind.
That's your fault with journalist stuff. And your makes it quite good. You can't break a story, and then when it doesn't happen, go, well, they should have followed through with it. They might have just been considering it, and then they went, oh, we have considered it, we don't want to do it.
It's fine. No. It should be. If they put a bid down, what they said yes, they would have signed it, would they?
No, you can still put a bid down, and then if they say yes, you go, we're not interested in this.
Because the fans don't run it now. That's what I mean. It shouldn't be. The fans shouldn't.
We've been a fan vote.
In terms of recruitment, fans shouldn't have a say because fans don't know the whole picture.
Should they not vote? Should it not be it should be democratic, James? Should it not be that way?
Was it a camel with a horse by committee?
Yeah, absolutely. Manchester United are a donkey though, and that's the real problem.
I totally agree. Yeah, great analogy. Well done. Yeah. But like Arnautovic, we're wasting time on that. Right. My point is that whoever, forget the name, if you're going for someone, if Liverpool go for someone, and people know about it, which they generally don't. But if they do know about it, they get them because they're going to go. They know for certain that this guy fits every element of the profile that we want. So that's not sort of going. I saw a thing where someone's doing that one. Pick a number, pick a colour.
Right.
That's what this
With
is.
Manchester United. Yeah. Did you do that when you were a kid?
Yeah,
It's very scary.
Oh.
Very scary if you get the wrong answer. And
I did it for girlfriends.
Oh really? Did you
Some
get?
of them. Yeah, Sharon.
Yeah. Wow.
Sharon.
Turns out the dinner ladies are playing with the playground.
I like an older woman. What can I say?
3 young girls and then a dinner lady going. What are we going to say?
Extra custard.
Yeah.
Oh, why did I say custard? Custard.
Lovely. The point is, though, you know, with Liverpool, if Liverpool do miss out on a target, there's another one immediately behind. They don't just go, we're going for one player with one profile, and it's only you. They had that with, how do you say it? You say Tchouaméni? Tchouaméni?
I'm terrible.
Okay, I'm bad at that.
We know who we're talking about.
Tchouaméni, right, who went to Real Madrid in the end. Now, I misspoke the other day. I said Liverpool did a provisional medical on him. Now, I still believe that to be true from a few people I've spoken to at the club, right? But on the week of the FA Cup, I think Liverpool ended up, the ownership spoke to him, Klopp spoke to him, and it looked as if he was a shoe-in sign for Liverpool. But I was convinced that he was going to sign for Liverpool. And I think he was in London for the FA Cup. Or at least he was in London, they ended up in London, right? So Liverpool were very convinced they were going to sign Tchouaméni at that point. And I think at that point it would have meant we don't get Jude Bellingham or don't go for Jude Bellingham.
Right, yeah.
But what's interesting is, as soon as they didn't get him, they went, right, okay, we will hold off now until we go for Jude Bellingham.
Yeah.
And there was basically, I imagine, very little interest elsewhere of other stuff. Apparently they were, they acquire about other people. But what's mad about Manchester United is, when they've not got, when they don't go get De Jong, they just go, okay, well, who then? There doesn't seem to be anyone else in the chamber ready to go. You've got one bullet and that's it. And if that bullet doesn't hit, it's terrible. It's awful.
Exactly. And the young thing, right? The wages. They could have. The thing is that Man United have the option to overpay. Yeah. So overpay it early, quietly. This is the other problem. There's so many leaks. That has to calm down.
Do you know the real issue with those leaks is it seems there's not just one leak either. It seems there are multiple leaks within the club because Dean Henderson was apparently. I mean, I can't say this. Dean Henderson was apparently someone who wasn't particularly trustworthy in the dressing room last season. There are a couple of other people who weren't particularly happy with the discontent, and even now the club's meant to be solving those issues. They have even more problems.
Yeah.
They've got people leaking about transfers. Also, I think also though that comes from excitement. People at the club going, "We are getting De Jong," and then someone gets a bit. Oh my god, I better go and tell my mates in the media. And I think to some extent the owners leak it themselves and go because they go, "Well, it's on now. We've got him." And then there's no.
I mean, they have done is that.
Well, it just shows inexperience and naivety.
Fergie say you're going to make bad decisions, but I'd always like to make bad decisions early.
Right,
and so with De Jong, again, overpay. By all means, overpay because you're desperate. You need this guy, right?
He's a good player though. He's worth 80.
Once you're getting held to ransom, and it gets to mid-July, you go, look, this needs to be done now, otherwise we're moving on.
Yeah,
and you do it, and you move on. Like
I think that Barcelona probably went fine. We've got there's other people in the market for Frankie De Jong. I think they go, all right, Man United move on.
But then move on.
Right, and they did. Right.
That's what I mean. Then move.
I think United
solve it.
I think
there should have been 10 players that have gone. 10 players should have gone, and this is Man United. This is Man United, and by that, what I mean is this, not history-wise, size of club. And when you've got the size of club, you've got options. QPR. If you you have a lesser quality due to financial restrictions. Man United don't have those same restrictions, but they have to. There's absolutely no reason why they can't find 6 players that are better and so, with the pedigree and the youth that they need.
So 2 points to that. First of all, I think United probably called and went, if you don't give us Frankie De Jong, we're moving on. And they went, yeah, fine, just move on then. And they went, what? They said we should just move on.
You've got to be brave enough to move on.
And then Barcelona, all they hear on the other end is they go, hello? I would just say it didn't work. What they were meant to say, we'd get him for free, weren't they? Yeah, okay, we'll call you back, sorry. And then they hang up. The other thing is, I think the reason that there's a lack of investment at United is United are trying to keep the club going and the team going because they foresee a big bid coming on the horizon from whoever to buy the club. And you don't want to put huge amounts of investment into the club just before that if you're then going to leave that investment gone. So say you put 100 million into X player or Y player, you don't want to invest that because the new buyers go, well, you're still worth 4 billion. You don't go, that's 4 billion 100, please.
I mean, fair enough. I get that. I get that, but then you need to be transparent with that, then, surely. I don't know.
I feel like I feel like they are in a way. I feel like it is sort of public knowledge that the Glazers, if they get the right bid.
Really?
But the thing is, I think there are so few people that can bid.
Got the cash.
What is it? 6 billion?
Do you think it'll do that? Yeah.
Because if Chelsea's worth 3 to 4, United are still globally one of the biggest assets. And if you get the Europa, well, the European Super League, how much they're worth then? They're worth 12 or 15, something like that. Mental.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're the biggest club in the world. I don't know
up there. No, they're up there.
I hate to be red big. That's the thing. The thing is that coming back to the Ronaldo thing as well is that say you are selling the club, you're willing to sell the club. And you're not going to invest. There needs to be an understanding of what you have available to you. So again, like the De Jong thing, like the Ronaldo thing, make decisions that are quick, cutthroat, to show what you're about as a club, show what your culture is as a club. Because here's the secret, right? There's always another season. Sure. Like, say they finished 14th this year.
Yeah.
Is it a huge difference from finishing 7th? Not really. But go backwards to go forward.
I understand your point. The only reason that I think though people will put up with finishing 14th is if United will seem to be playing better football. If there was seen to be a difference. So far, obviously we can see them attempting it. What I did find, I saw a really good tweet yesterday saying Klopp in his first season when he came in lost 3-0 to Watford. Another great manager
lost first 3.
Right, he lost massive amounts of games. When new systems come in and players are learning them, people mess up and big losses happen, right?
Yeah.
Manchester United maybe have just had 2 times where that has happened back to back. They might draw against Liverpool. Do you know? They might win against Liverpool because it clicks. All the players go, I'm up for this one.
What I would say as well is that like this. The Premier League's never. People always focus on the big teams. The Premier League has never been more awash with money, and so when that happened, yes, there's a massive difference between Fulham and Man United, but Fulham are still able to buy one of the best defensive midfielders in Portugal, and every other league, the best players from them will go to those mid-table teams. That means that again in a high variable game that's low scoring, these results can happen. The second thing is that despite the patronising of every club outside the top 6, these teams have never been smarter and more forward thinking.
Look at Brentford. Look at
Brighton and Brentford. There's some perfect examples. So you are not given any points anymore. You've got to be good. And I did a video on my channel this morning about it. The gluttony that they have had as a club, that with Man United will be fine. It cannot work. You have to be. That's how Liverpool got to the top. You have to be smarter than everyone else, and you have to have that hunger and that drive. And all of these clubs have got a decent amount of money, but are smarter and have more drive. And Man United need from somewhere to find it, and have also to have a system in place where the players, regardless of confidence, know what they're going to do. Because when you haven't got confidence, that's when you need to go, I don't really know what I need to do here, but I don't even have to think, because I know that this player's here, this player's there, this is the system that we play, this is what we do when we don't have the ball. All of those things to get yourself around confidence.
I've not actually seen Eric Ten Hag's post-match comments yesterday. Someone's just been pulled down their own pitch. Did you see any of his post-match comments?
Yeah.
So what sort of things was he saying? Because if I was Eric Ten Hag, my thing would be, we've lost, but I'm trying to play my way. There are a couple of issues out there right now, but I back the players. This is the squad I've got, and I'm going to. Sure, but it works. Yeah, it's better than. It's a dark day or whatever, because it isn't really. Really, it's just a continuation of poor form got 4 points in the last 24, so it's not like it's just on him, is it?
Yeah, you're right. I think as it's 7 away games on the shoulder.
Yeah, it's terrible.
This my only concern with him is, does he have this sort of Antonio Conte, Jurgen Klopp gravitas,
or is he a bit more AVB?
Yeah,
because I worry that Manchester United are making him a bit of a city. Do you remember when AVB came in at Chelsea and they went, big change here, this guy's going to come in and lead out all of these people, and people like John Terry and those other guys, similar to maybe Ronaldo and Bruno and Varane, went, no you're not.
Yeah, I think he's got more experience than AVB did when he came into the manager.
AVB is very young, fresh, but he seems very fresh and green at the moment, especially the way he's playing his football.
What I would like to have seen is him go, we're going to the top, and what's happening here right now is unacceptable. And what these players need to think about is, don't think about the team, think about your career.
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, if you're not good enough for this team, and if you don't play for the team, and you don't make the right decisions, you are gone. I would like to see that.
Someone should say that.
Yeah, but I don't think he'll do that.
What do you think he'll say?
I think I saw what he said. Which
not good enough, is it?
Yeah. He's like, he said to put it at the end of the tie line.
You've got to be playing better than that.
Yeah, we're better than this. Yeah. He said, look, it's we win together, we lose together.
Right.
I could have taken all of us off instead of three. Sure. All the cliche stuff.
In a way, I do think he's not really been subject to the same media ire.
You can't go after him just yet.
No, but he's not been. So I think, when there's fresh meat in the room, a few journalists go, I'll ask this question and I'll put it out. What I'll do is I'll ask this, he'll say this, and then I'll put this in the article. So they go, would you have substituted all 11? And for him, he goes, that's a lovely question. But in the article, they make it sound as if he's being a bit cliche and he's not said the right things. And
they asked him one like that. They said, do you think this is a tougher task than you first envisaged?
Right. And for him, he goes,
what can he say?
A bit of an easy one. It's the easy question there for me, is that? And they go, yeah, just answer it though. And then when he does, you can see the article's already written, and everyone in the room goes, gotcha. That's how it works.
Yeah, I think it's. Do you know what? The spotlight around Man United is so difficult for them and for the players as well, because. I think I've said this a few times, a few different things, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but it does feel so clear to me where, in the 90s you had this squad that obviously weren't up to it, but all the pundits were Liverpool gods, right? And nothing could live to that level, right? And as soon as they lose, you go, well, back in my day, there's a lot of that. And now it's Man United. Rio Ferdinand, Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes,
Hargreaves,
Michael Owen. Yeah. They're all these Man United greats.
Seriously,
and it's such a difficult shadow for them to sort of try and crawl their way out of it. And the same occurred with Arsenal for a good few years. But what Arsenal did is they stripped back and they started again.
Right.
And they're still they've only just planted the seeds, Arsenal. You don't know where they're going to get it. But what you can't disagree with is that you can see it. You can't see it with Man United.
It's tangible at Arsenal.
So you have to go through the pain to get the next bit. And this is the problem with them, is that they should have spent this window doing that.
Oh, yeah,
it's too late now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's too late.
Yeah. And United have, again, another poorly executed transfer window. By the way, with a new guy overseeing it. So everyone was going, Woodward, he's the real issue. Now they've got your friend Richard Arnold.
Good morning,
good friend of yours.
MC at my wedding.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. So now they've got Richard Arnold, and he's there.
Keeps talking about Strictly.
Yeah, and
he was 2011, Richard. Move on.
Yeah, he's talking about rumours that are going on. The way he's talking about it as well. But my point is, with that, you'd have gone, okay, new head at the top of it, this will change. It's been the same issues, showing that really that person is a bit of a fall guy, probably, for the Glazers, and that these people are still very much subject to the same constraints they were before. So expecting the body to change when the head of the snake's the same is crazy.
Definitely. And that's it. The other thing I sort of half-spoke in the video I did was talking about, because you're right, that sort of it coming from the top, which is Gary Neville talks about a lot. When I was thinking, when I've worked in a big company, you can hide if you wanted to hide.
Absolutely.
Unless there is that pressure from the top, and that the accountability comes because there's this all-seeing eye that's going, you better all be doing your job. That's the thing that's missing here, isn't it? There's not. It's a huge company where there isn't that power and that watchful eye at the top.
Can
It just isn't.
Can I just ask you though, because I do sometimes find it a little bit weird. Oh, by the way, Eric Ten Hag wanted most Man United players to run 13.8k during their exercises at the extra training session today. Because Brentford players ran 13.8k more than them yesterday.
Love it. Love that. That's it. You've got to be like you have to be so cutthroat and ruthless in terms of the standards that you need to hit.
But not petty like that.
Showed that though. But
Right.
Klopp showed that. Like you see it when like these new players come in and they go, they don't even need to be told. They know what the standard will have to be because they will see it in training every single day.
Yeah, well then you've got people like Hendo, you've got people like Milner, you've got people like Van Dijk. I can imagine, I sort of interviewed Virgil van Dijk very briefly. You've got certain players who've got a presence where when you go around them, you just sort of bloody hell.
Yeah,
you know,
that's it.
alpha males basically.
Yeah, but where they enjoy that space.
But so yeah, right. And there's a shared common space where it's almost like you're coming into our, you're going to do it our way here.
But it's like playing. So you know when you play football at whatever level, right? I'm always of the feeling where it's like, look, you know, it's obviously just a bit of fun. You never take it too seriously. You always want to win, don't you? Because the fun is in that, right? And at the very, 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 very highest level, you hear Rio Ferdinand talk about it. Rio Ferdinand did a great podcast with Ben Foster. Yeah, he did. Oh, yeah, with Ben Foster did this week, and they were talking about it all. And it's just like the level in training. That, as much as it's like these are the standards, and you know we're being serious here, they loved it. You could tell they loved being at training. They loved going there. They loved that level of competition. They got off on the fact that we are the best.
I also think, you know, the weird thing about it here, yeah, I get that we're the best thing.
They're hard for it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Hard.
But the other aspect of that is not all of that is spoken. So, you know, a lot of that is about body language, about temperament, about, you know, how the squad gels together. All things that Klopp and Tuchel and these other guys, and obviously Conte and Pep, seem to have a decent understanding of. And Pep and Klopp, I think, are both, they're very much alpha males within their own world, you know?
But that's why, I think Rio Ferdinand said this, that's why Milner keeps getting one-year contracts.
Oh, totally. Because
for the culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, I think Liverpool are like. There's a reason they give people like Harvey Elliott extra contracts. There's a reason that all these guys are in that midfield at Liverpool. But I will just go through this Manchester United team, and then we'll go back to the Chelsea Spurs game. How many of the? I know we're busy blaming the ownership here, and we're saying they are, you know, they're not quite, and you know that from the top it's a real problem. Maybe the starting 11 though, I can't think of many players where if they were transferred away, I wouldn't go, he'll be right elsewhere. So De Gea goes to Real Madrid or, you know, Atletico Madrid or somewhere else. I go, he'll be alright. He won't. I think De Gea's probably on too much at United, and he's probably been given too much importance because, again, I don't think they have the technical know-how to replace him. I don't think they know how to replace David De Gea right now. They had Henderson, obviously it didn't go well. They've had a number of players, it doesn't seem to go well there. Diogo Dalot, probably the weakest name within the team, but if you went to other place, like say he's under Conte at Spurs, we go, fucking hell, he's good. Yeah. Harry Maguire, I think if he hadn't gone for 80 million and he's in a mid-table club, we go, he's a solid Premier League centre-back. He'll be a top 15 centre-back, but he won't be in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Martinez.
And he's just quickly on Harry Maguire. Because like, I think Jamie Carragher says always thinks good lines like, it's never as bad as you think, and it's never as bad, it's never as good as you think.
Paul Wilson got it right.
Called it again.
Yeah.
Another one. Yeah. Harry Maguire must be going through all sorts of turmoil right now in his mind.
But imagine it's public humiliation in a sense.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously some people go, well, he deserves it. He's getting paid a lot of money for that. You've still got to overcome it.
Yeah, I hate that nonsense.
It's ridiculous nonsense. Martinez, obviously, I think if he signed under Klopp or he signed under Conte or he signed under Pep, maybe he doesn't get signed. But if he is, people go, no, just watch.
Yeah, well, I think look, the size thing is a concern, especially in the Premier League. But
he did get caught yesterday for one of the goals, and his size was an issue in that.
Yes, but you would imagine you've been bought with a system, right? The system in mind.
Right, yeah.
So you hope he's the first piece of it.
Yeah, you know, when in the boardroom they go, and why are you buying? Is it down to the system? And the guy buys and just goes, the what?
Basically, play for Ajax.
Yeah,
they're gonna love
he
it.
played for Ajax, mate. He was bloody brilliant.
He's a mate.
Luke Shaw.
People go after Luke Shaw, and I think it's because he's a little bit tubby. And I actually don't think he's as bad as what people say.
Completely.
And like the goal yesterday, can he read it quicker? Yes. What will be forgotten is how fantastic that ball is from Tony, and also Mbuemo's thing is that he's quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, so,
and really good physically. Like he's very good at getting on the right side of a player and then like getting through essentially.
Yeah.
That's his stock and trade.
If you want to blame that goal on someone, that's a goal you can blame on Ten Hag.
Sure.
Because he's pushing everyone forward.
If you want to play the blame game.
Yeah, you've got to be. This is the thing. This will be the thing that people will start to turn on Ten Hag on, is that if he doesn't adapt what he does due to the fact of the players that you've got. Bournemouth defend deep and defend for their lives because they haven't got Man City's players. If they had Man City's players, they'd be playing differently.
I see your point.
And the same goes with Man United. And that's what I find really interesting is what's he going to do? Is he going to play that Ajax style? Get him in there. It'd be better corners. What are you going to do, brother? Are you going to... What are you going to do the system without having the personnel, or is he going to change the system to the personnel? And if you do, find one quick and let him stick with it.
Right. And to some extent, when Pep came in, it wasn't fully a Pep system. When Klopp came in, it wasn't fully a Klopp system. When Conte came in, he made a few compromises because he realised there are certain elements of my system that can work here and certain ones I have to adapt. And sometimes they got caught out. In the midfield, though, I think, again, like we can't... looking at that back line, it's a decent back line. On the other side of that, you've got Christian Eriksen, Fred, Bruno Fernandes. And then Scott McTominay in any other midfield is fourth choice there. But within that midfield, Fred was signed for almost 50 million. Christian Eriksen, if he hadn't have had his health conditions, would have been worth a decent amount of cash. And Bruno Fernandes, 30 to 40, maybe even 50 million for him. Jadon Sancho, they spent the right amount of money on him. Cristiano Ronaldo, Marcus Rashford. They have to bear an element of response, and I get the culture at the club is not there, but that club and that team should be doing better than back-to-back losses in that situation. It can't be about confidence in playing a system with that side like that. It can be, but it can't.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Two things, right? First of all, that team that you're picking there, if you said to me what system is the best system for that team and that squad, it's 4-2-4-1. It's what Solskjaer was doing. Yeah, right. And people go mad, but that's how you got. That's how you finished second because you didn't have a good enough guy to sit at the base of it, right? The way you solve that. The other thing is that's why the first thing they should have done was got De Jong and just paid the money and done it. Because
do you not think there was another sticking point there? For instance, that De Jong goes, if I leave, do I get the money? Barcelona sort of go, cool, off you go, but we will prolong this and you won't get 20 million from us or whatever they owe, and they owe like 18 million euros or something, don't they?
I know, yeah, but again, I think Man United, however it needed to be done to get the deal done, to get him there. Because going into that transfer window, if you're the recruitment team, you have a meeting and go, right, so September 1st, what's the worst window we can get away with?
I think that's what they did, but the problem was they got the wrong notes. Afterwards they didn't put worst outcome, they went outcome. And
lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
But the worst outcome would have been, if we could only buy one player, if there's one player we can buy.
The shortest centre-back available.
It's a De Jong, it's a Ruben Neves, it's a DM, right? That was the one player that we cannot leave this window without that player, right? So fucking sort it out.
But they aren't, and that's kind of the point. And what's weird about it is there are other clubs around them who, like I know Chelsea get a bit of stick right now, but they have got a lot done in this window, and they're getting more done. If they get De Jong, that changes the face.
They get away with it. If they get De Jong over the line, they can get away with this season. Yeah, they can get away with this season.
Yeah, they get away with this. Right. I mean, and that's not unlikely.
I might see James Garner get some minutes, by the way. I think it's a big step up. But that's League One football they're playing at this moment in time.
Yeah, right.
The thing is, what Ten Hag's got to be careful with is you can't. Like, again, I keep using Arsenal as a bit of a blueprint. I know it's a reason why, but that is such a complementary team.
Yeah,
every player, you understand why they've been bought and what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, and what that provides to the entire team. That's why I didn't totally get Eriksen unless he was a squad player, was because this doesn't fix anything.
Right.
And so far he's played in two positions, neither of which is truly positionally.
Well, one of them was definitely truly the opposite of the position he wants to play, where he basically just went, "What am I doing here?" And then the other one was a bit of a compromise because Ronaldo treads on his toes a bit, other players sort of tread on his toes. And again, I've been saying this for almost a season and a bit now. It's obviously more obvious with Ronaldo in this side when he's pissed off and people now turned on him. But Ronaldo inhibits the roles of other players on the pitch from last season and this season. And I was making this point last season, and the only response I ever got was, "You don't know what you're talking about. He's a legend, mate. He's a legend. What he's doing at that club. Look, it's nostalgia, but let us have it, all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but you're selling yourself short for another 2 years.
It's all they have, mate. That's what
it's not though. That's the point. Is it wouldn't be actually? It's almost better last season for me to not have Ronaldo, to know the level. Sure, you don't get in the Europa League.
No, I get, and I totally could not agree more with you. But I'm saying from Man United, what Man United fans would do, because you go at the start of the season or whatever it is, you scrabble around and go, okay, what can I back him?
Yeah.
And Ronaldo they sort of had to back it, and because he had credit in the bank, you can't say he's not going to work.
But that's happened too much with this ownership. Yeah. They bought an Ollie and they went, "See, we've got the legend." And then when that started to win, they went, "Ronaldo, see, we've got the legend." And what you do, similar to Liverpool in the 90s, and I know we keep talking about our own clubs and the clubs we like to model off, we went, "We're bad under Roy Evans. We've got Robbie Fowler, and we've got Steve
at the boot room."
Yeah, but it's consistency. It's the boot room. What would Bill Shankly have done in the 90s when capitalism truly took hold? What would the socialist Bill Shankly have done in that time?
Yeah.
I don't know. You make it up. But at the same time, we went, yeah, but Steve McManaman scored in this game, and he's a scouser. And then after a while, when he goes to Real Madrid and Robbie Fowler's, powers ultimately wane, and the magic begins to go. Suddenly it dawns on you, and I said this: Liverpool at one point went, "We'll bring in Gerard Houllier, and he will tell us what the structure at the club needs to be to become more European." And I think United have looked at Erik Ten Hag and gone, "He's been at Ajax, he's been here, he knows what about how to work as a director of football, whatever. He will tell us how to take the club forward." And they've gone, "Eric, tell us." And he's told them, and then they've gone, "We don't know how to do that."
Yeah, we can have a little bit of backstory for you.
Yeah. No, I thought, can you just give us the list of names you want? Yes, but before that, I'll be needing that you do this, and this. Yeah, but just the names, Eric, just so we can sign them. We're going to need those.
Because normally I go, it can't be that. It can't be. This is millions of pounds. These are loads of people on millions of pounds.
Right.
It can't be that stupid. It can't be. And for a long time I was sort of fighting against that. I'm struggling now. I don't know what to say to them. Because it's like, this is so obvious, isn't it? Give yourself 2 years, do it properly, fix it.
Do you think the problem ever comes with also they start investing in a new model, the fans kick against it and go, "This ain't the way to go," and then again they compromise halfway through and they go, "Okay, well we'll get Ronaldo then," or we'll get. Actually, if they've doubled down with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and gone, I get he had terrible tactics. There were times where the tactics were non-existent. But my point would be, if they just doubled down and kept going and kept burrowing, could they have gotten to a point where oh, I see what you were doing. Similar to Liverpool when people went, "What are you buying Salah for? What are we buying? Who the fuck's Firmino?"
Did he truly have... The thing we'll see is, especially with this window once it's shut, if he doesn't get the people that he wants, was he tactically awful, or was he just putting forward the best hand he had?
No,
I still look at that team and I still go, you should have a double pivot there. Let him sit there and then just give it to the front four and hope they can fix it for you.
So I see your point.
There's not enough quality there.
I see your point, but I think it was that's part of the problem as well, is that I think people are kind of also looking for one place to put the blame, and actually it's spread blame. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was to some extent to blame at this United side, but at the same time, so were the owners, so were the players. So it's a toxic. Everything's toxic there at the moment. And that needs to change, but it's very difficult to do that because people are going, or if we sack Ollie, that solves the problem. And then everyone else goes, a little bit of time where I wasn't found out as one of those.
Yeah.
And that's, you almost need it to get to rock bottom in order for people to start looking very realistically and going, actually, he's a problem, she's a problem. Why is that tea lady pouring coffee? Like, you know.
You also need a guide, right? You need clarity of vision. You need clarity of vision.
Conte.
Yeah, Arteta, Guardiola, Klopp, Conte, clarity of vision. Doesn't have to be the manager, by the way. Like, you can have, like, Brentford. Brentford, it's not the manager. They've made changes to managers when, or had to make changes when it's like when a player, you know, Dean Smith went on there. The manager was there for like 3 games. It wasn't even going that bad, and they just changed it
for a little while. But it's gone sour at Southampton. But Southampton they had a really amazing run of managers where they were on hot streak. Poch was in the middle of that. They're good managers.
So if you know, like, that's what I mean. There has to be clarity of vision, and that's what there isn't with Man United. And until they sort that out, or give Ten Hag, who seems to have, you know, you've seen it previously, and give him the keys, then. But you should be giving him the keys. You should be working as a. You can't have a manager doing that and that. Not in modern football. Can't be doing.
You also then go. You can have a passcode, grab me code. You can have the passcode to the kingdom, but we'll keep the key.
Terrific audacity, just gorgeous skill. Oh look, the keeper didn't know whether he was coming or going in the end, and he just got lost. Oh, it's an inspired substitution, terrific move by the boss. That's how you make an impact as a sub. You know, when most of the time you can impose a freshness and on an introduction. This is threatening to become a really good game.
Pfizer may have made
well to get back in it, but it's important now that they don't become over-eager in chasing another. They only need one more chance. Patience is key.
Are you looking for a new football news app? I'm just going to say yes, because either way you're going to tell me about one. Then ladies and gentlemen, you need to check out One Football. This is the app that brings you all the latest football news, transfer... Look, to make sure... Down in the description for you to go ahead and get it yourself. If you haven't already somehow, then make sure you do, because I'm watching you. I don't know about her. Oh yeah, nah, she's looking kind of sweet still. Oh, come on, what are you doing? The game is literally on as we speak. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. We're scoring on and off the pitch now. Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and you are watching FTW. It's of course the series where I bring to the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. But what's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, the FBI was seen raiding former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. Supposedly he held on to a lot of confidential documents after getting voted out. The reality is the man just got swatted during a Twitch stream. He's trying to do it as a backup job, you see. Hey yo, shout out to Javier Hernandez fan 420 for the gifted. He says shout out Mexico. To be honest, I'm just gutted we're not going to see a 31-part Twitter thread exposing it. Maybe if he built a wall around his resort, they wouldn't get onto the football though now. And I spoke about Manchester United versus Brentford in detail here, but Manchester United got spanked by Brentford.
We want you, the fans at home and abroad, to support someone else.
Erik ten Hag's side were down by 4 within 35 minutes in one of the worst first halves of United history, held by a David De Gea disaster class. United fans were not happy with him. That's assuming they had the strength to even carry on watching the game. This whilst on loan shot stopper Dean Henderson was saving a penalty from Declan Rice against West Ham. But not everyone was sad to see the result, as shown by Oldham's owner here.
mate. It's an absolute pleasure.
In fact, the reality is, this is beautiful to watch. United are bottom of the Premier League, for God's sake. You've got to close your downloads tab to actually see them in the table. You've got Luke Shaw at left back, stagnating in his United career.
He's been here 10 years. What's he done apart from his ideas?
His full-back partner, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's using an insole as a fan, which is probably more effective than him when trying to put a ball into the box. Seeing Donny van der Beek back in the side brought a tear to the eye.
Long time no see. We're alive.
Meanwhile, Cristiano Ronaldo is definitely and categorically leaving that Manchester United WhatsApp group tonight. And
They just lost into another knock-up of the lies.
And for poor Eric Ten Hag, this has been a stressful start to life as boss, so his pain would be hilarious on All or Nothing next season. The thing is, it's going to be tough for him to get respect in the changing room when he's never owned Head and Shoulders shampoo in his life. He has to apply sun cream to the top of his head. He's not a serious manager. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been alerted to the mess and he's keen to return.
You guys are in a crisis. I'm on my way.
Meanwhile, they played this one in a new green kit, which is going to be a horrible clash when they face up against Forest Green in a few years. At least Manchester United fans can be excited by the 2029 Panorama National North promotion hopes.
Second half of the season, we're doing a title charge.
Yeah. Brentford tweeted asking for someone to check in on Sky pundits Gary Neville and Roy Keane. It's a shithousery award for the West Londoners. But it turns out Gary Neville was getting into scraps live on Sky.
All right. Just look at who I'm talking to. You've been with the league for 30 years.
Do you know how mad it is that they're going to sign Adrian Rabiot and he doesn't even need to make the dressing room any more toxic? He's still managed by his own mum, which I find crazy. Does she still do a packed lunch for him as well? Tuck him into bed perhaps? Here's live scenes of Scott McTominay watching Rabiot in his first training session.
Wait, yo! Yo, it's me!
But these lot seem fucked from top to bottom, and it's hard when their US owners have no idea what's going on at the club. They probably think they're trying to qualify for end of season playoffs. Now listen, Eric, it's a simple question. Are we qualifying for the Super Bowl? Big man.